Hey guys, welcome back to Resistance Chicks. We are your hosts, Leah and Michelle. Today is the 20th of December. That's 5 days till Christmas.
We're like Christmas. You're wearing green and I'm wearing red.
I did try to do a little Christmassy today.
There we go. We're like Christmasing for you.
And she's Christmasing behind us.
We're Christmasing here.
All
Whether
right,
the
so-
Grinch in the UK or
Oh my gosh.
Angela Merkel decides that she wants to cancel Christmas or not. We're Christmasing. Gosh darn it.
We are, gosh darn it. So we were going to have the Brit Girl on today, but she couldn't make it. So I'm thinking, she was thinking maybe tomorrow or the next day, but I'm thinking maybe next Sunday. Sundays are a good day for us to bring the UK news. So you can look forward to that next week. I think we'll get with her and try to do that. Let me know how the audio is, at least on, I want to make sure I didn't mess anything up with the microphone because I was trying to fix the audio. Many of you have pointed out that the intro and anytime I play a video, it has crackling. I think I fixed the crackling, but then exchanged it for fuzziness. I worked on that for an hour this morning. So as long as the microphone is good, I will not play any videos on my system. Leah will just play them behind us and we will get along with our merry way. And I will not pull my hair out until I try to address this problem again.
She has plenty of hair. She has twice as much as I do. So I'm okay with that. All right, guys. So happy Merry Christmas week to you all.
Yeah.
Except if you're in the UK where, no, I'm kidding. I want you to be merry. I want you
to mean
here's what your job
Oh,
is.
today would have been a good day to play that song and we didn't practice it. We'll have to play it on the fly. You guys love that.
You're a mean one, Mr. Boris.
Grinch.
Yeah.
No. You'll play it. We'll play it. No crackle on this intro. Good. The crackle is gone, but I think videos themselves get a little screechy.
All right, you guys. So
Thanks, James.
Here's the good news about this.
Good news.
There's always a silver lining. What Boris Johnson did was he went around the legislature, you could say, the House, the Parliament, and really stuck it to what?
I told you he could do that, and you don't even know what you be talking about. So, in my voice of
That's
the
from
Michigan
yesterday.
witness,
It's fake news. Go ahead.
Oh, never
Sorry.
mind. Then I won't
Yeah.
read it out loud.
All right.
How's that from yesterday? I just got here.
It's the New York Times, so no, they're not. They never do the truth. They never take anything from the New York Times. I'm sorry.
Oh, I didn't see who it was from.
Okay, never. Okay, here's the thing. Never listen to the Twitter sidebar.
Even if it's something you want to hear.
Absolutely, if it's something you want to hear. Never listen to the Twitter sidebar is designed as a psyop.
I know.
Okay. All right, so.
But I wanted, it was telling me, it literally, the very top thing in the right-hand corner on Twitter says that Trump's reportedly considering appointing Sidney Powell as special counsel. But to that point, though.
See, I wouldn't even said it out loud because I don't want to give the New York Times or CNN any airtime on what they're saying because then people still get their hopes up.
Don't get your hopes up.
They put their eggs in a basket and it's designed to mess with your head.
The reason why I said it wasn't that it was going to, I really was just thinking more from a technical standpoint. You and I were discussing, she is a former federal prosecutor. So I'm just wondering, because we were going, oh my gosh, does it have to just be somebody that's in the DOJ or something like that? Does it obviously?
Can we get on with the show?
If that's the case, then it doesn't
this
have
is
to be.
something that it got you. This is like a got you, and I'm got a show.
Okay.
They don't even know. It's like, that's why we don't remember that's why we don't bring up Twitter right in the middle of the show?
Well, I'm actually bringing up Twitter so I can bring up the chat on Periscope.
Right. Okay, well, you got a show for you today. We're starting in the UK.
We're in the UK.
Okay, and we're starting with the mean one, Mr. Grinch.
Yes.
Mr. Grinch. And so we're going to the UK Parliament and the world over there. Mr. Grinch. Let me just play this video and then I'll tell you how Bojo actually could lose his job over this.
Could, should, needs
I
to.
don't have any volume. What's going on? Did that actually turn on? Shoot. I don't have any volume.
Probably because Skype is using your speaker, I'm going to guess. So shut down Skype. Just literally I don't know if that might work. No, because Skype is probably still using the speaker.
It's shut down.
I know, but it's probably not shut down. Click Control-Alt-Delete.
Okay.
Technical. This is why people pay big money for a tech team.
Task manager. Shut down. There's no running apps. Just Google Chrome.
All right. So then go to the speaker. It says headphones. Click on that. Doc, try that one.
So,
then press play.
love you, Lord.
England.
There we go.
Christmas has been cancelled for millions of residents.
Did we plug it in overnight?
We did. You unplugged it and plugged it back in. I can try the other one.
27,000 new cases of COVID-19 were reported.
Give it a second, because sometimes it'll like all of a sudden just kind of kick in.
Announced tougher tier 4 restrictions for the southeast, east, and all boroughs of London from midnight.
Well, we can do the
tonight.
TV. It's not that far away. Just try the TV volume and I'll turn it up.
This one? We're trying again. Loud.
I'm getting it. I'm pressing it right now as we speak.
It's just their audio. That's really bad audio.
It wasn't bad when I watched it on my phone.
Okay, well, this is like the worst audio I've heard.
Prime Minister Boris Johnson.
Okay, Prime Minister Boris Johnson's canceling Christmas. We're not watching this stupid video. All
Try
right.
another video, because we
No.
need to make sure that our videos are working, unless you want to address this again later in the
I don't know
program.
if we have time to dress it.
Leah, if none of the shows are working,
That sounds
that one
better.
sounds fine. It might even come out of this speaker okay.
Look, they do, and it's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, our latest news is that at the
We have plenty of time, because if we don't get to certain stuff in the show,
No,
it's
that's not working.
okay. We can take our time.
No, I
and
know. I
address
just want
it.
to start the show over. Like,
No.
start over.
It's
We have
fine.
a show.
They understand.
We're not here to jabber your ear off about stuff.
You know what? I have a sneaking suspicion, and you guys can answer me in the chat, see if I'm right. Do you come here really to get the latest news, or do you just enjoy Leah and I, and it doesn't really matter? We could sing the phone book to you.
No, they
I
want
have-
the news. That's
I-
why that's why
I'm
it
gonna
matters.
guess they come for the entertainment value, not so much the news value.
I love my
So this
life.
is all entertainment value.
I love my life, so this one works. All right. So that one was play on the TV. I have no idea why this speaker isn't working.
I do, because technology always fails, because it's not Jesus, who will never fail you.
Trump slams Bojo's Christmas lockdown. The cure cannot be worse than the problem. We talked about this earlier. I love when Donald Trump tweets out Bojo here, where he moved the country into a lot of the country in London into tiers 3 and tier 4. Basically canceling Christmas for everyone. It's been a shock and a reverberating. We were going to have Brit Girl on to talk about how it's really affecting people. I have a letter up to his MP from Barry to tell us how he feels about it. And this is all about fear and control. And really, Boris Johnson has gone full labor on you. He's gone full climate change.
Yeah.
He is not a Tory.
conservative,
Okay,
yeah.
he is not a conservative. He is a turncoat, and he's got that. I gotta tell you, honestly, I think that Boris Johnson was a good bloke. But he has this girlfriend. He hasn't married her. He had a baby with her, and she's a full-on crazy liberal. Like, crazy liberal. I think she's like a honeypot for him, whispering in his ear, this is what you need to do. It doesn't matter. This is what you need to do. This is what you need to do. This is what you need to do. And you did not elect Miss Liberal Pants. You elected an entire parliament of conservatives.
Miss Liberal Pants.
Okay? And you do have conservative MPs who do have their panties in a wad because they're really upset. Because what Boris Johnson did was, I guess Parliament closed on Friday for Christmas break. And then he institutes the Christmas lockdown.
Oh my gosh.
But 2 weeks ago, they voted to give the 5-day pass for Christmas.
Wow.
They voted on it. And he went against what they had voted on for the 5-day pass for Christmas.
You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch.
This is about a global reset. It's about hating on Jesus. It's about destroying Christmas. It's about destroying your spirit. It's about bringing you down, and you can't let it. So who am I going to play? I'm going to play Katie Hopkins. And
Okay.
yes, I listened to her all the way through, so don't even bother asking.
So there's no curse
no
words?
curse words in this one.
Interesting.
Okay, is the volume all the way up?
We can just keep going as high as we need to go.
Mm-hmm.
Press play.
Wait, I had to move it back.
I thought we were done with hashtag Shitty Monday, but it
Oh, there was a
turns out
curse
Boris
word
had
right
one
there.
better up his sleeve with hashtag Sod Off Saturday, where essentially the potato in a wig cancelled Christmas. Look at all
Almost
the
be better.
conversations
This
going on
audio
online
is
and in person.
awful.
It would almost be better for you to play it scratchy.
I know. All right, we're gonna. Is that on Twitter? Is that where you're finding it?
It's on. It's played in our YouTube.
It's in our YouTube history. Okay. Let me sign.
It
out
would
of
be
here.
better. It would be better for you just to play it.
Okay.
But I'm going to give you a preview of what Miss Katie Hopkins has to say. Besides the first curse word I missed in the beginning, I should know better. I should go over it with a fine-tooth comb. I don't know how I missed the first second, but I did. She says, find a way around the rules. You're not a horrible person for wanting to get together with your friends and your family and your grandma and your grandma and grandpa and love them and hold them and tell them Merry Christmas.
Right.
You are not a bad person. You are a good person. You are a good human being for wanting to spread cheer. Happy Christmas cheer. This is like every Hallmark movie, every Christmas movie ever, where you have the bad guy using some sort of pretense to cancel Christmas. Have we not watched enough Christmas movies yet in our lives to see that there is something amiss? Because let me tell you something. In Texas, everything is open. You can go to bars. You can go to restaurants. You can stand shoulder to shoulder with whoever you want. SNL can do entire skits where they're hugging on each other and loving each other. But you, and as they're laughing at you, cannot, because they want to break your spirit. So I'm going to hear from my show for you is don't let them break you. Fight it.
Okay, we're gonna fight it now. You'll notice it's gonna be a little, it's scratchy is a good word for it. All right, we're gonna do the best we can, guys, with what we have. Oh wait, let me switch this over to the proper thing here. You're fine. We're all fine here.
Hashtag Shitty Monday, but it turned out
could've
Boris
skipped the
had
first
one
2
better up his sleeve with hashtag Sod Off Saturday, where essentially the potato in a wig cancelled Christmas. Looking at all the conversations going on online and in person, I think there's a few things that are being missed that I thought it was important to point out. Number one, of course, is that politicians don't really know stuff. They're just people who managed to climb the greasy pole faster than someone else, had more money than someone else, managed to grab onto power and keep it. Boris Johnson, as we've agreed, is just a potato in a wig. And to make the point, I made you one. This is
potato
Boris
in a
Johnson.
wig.
He doesn't know any better. He's
like she
making
cut off
stuff
her
up. It's
hair.
the reason he
I
told
know.
us we could have a merry little Christmas a couple of days ago when you all went out and ordered your food shopping and spent your money. And now he's decided to cancel Christmas. Yes, I do look a bit like this. I've realised that. I would argue that tradesmen, plasterers, plumbers, people that can fix stuff, they know more than politicians. We should trust plumbers and
Yes.
plasterers more than we trust a potato in a wig. Second up, I've seen really unkind things being said on social media, people calling others COVID idiots for trying to escape the tyranny of London. You're not a COVID idiot. You're probably trying to see your elderly relatives, some family and friends. You probably had a fairly crap 2020 and just wanted a couple days of feeling a bit better about yourself and making other people feel better too. That doesn't make you an idiot. That makes you a decent human being. Decent Brits are trying to have a happy Christmas despite the potato in a wig trying to cancel Christmas for all of us. And finally, of course, I hear a lot of people asking, can I do this? Is it okay if can I do? You know, I think the time for asking permission is over. Don't ask, can I?
No,
Is it okay if? Ask, how can I make this happen?
How do I make it happen,
How
baby?
can I make what I want to happen? How can I get around this to still do that?
Yep.
You know, so I think 3 things that are important. Number 1, politicians don't know any better than the rest of us. Boris Johnson is just a potato in a wig. Number 2, you're not a COVID idiot for trying to see your family or friends. You're probably just a decent human being who needs lifting up. And finally, of course, don't ask for permission, take it. The time for asking permission is over. The time for waiting for an answer is through. It's time for decent Brits to go find a way to have a very happy Christmas.
Make it
Love it.
happen. Make it happen. Make it happen. You do not need permission to make it happen. I love you guys. Plague, England closed. It's a plague. People's faces are melting off. They're getting giant pustules all over their bodies in the nether regions.
Oh, Leah!
It's just a plague, black pus is spewing out of people's mouths, the blood. It's just the plague. Do not leave your homes. Do not get on aeroplanes.
Can't with you.
It's the plague.
Wow. All right. Now, I love what, okay, Adeline accidentally deleted that. I think you thought it was a bad one. It's fine. You can leave it. Because I want to read this comment from Stuart. He says, why are we talking about this? Nobody cares here. We are open. We have Christmas as usual. I'm curious on this map where you live in correlation to that. Are you in the areas where they are hitting the hardest with the big X? Or are you in an area that's a little bit more open? People are not as, and that is my genuine question to those of you that feel like,
Computer's frozen.
well, it's, let's see. There you go.
No, my computer is frozen.
I know. Well, but I'm just covering up the screen.
I know. I hate this. I hate my computer. I hate this.
Hang on, Leah. You have literally reached level like 25 times today.
No, I'm not. I'm not reached any levels.
Okay.
It's not, things are not
And when they're not fresh, when they're not working, we just
I'm
roll
not
with
reaching
it.
any level. No, don't worry about it. I'm not.
When you say, I hate my computer live on air, that's a little bit...
No. Well, let's not talk about how you were before we started the show. All right.
Well, but that was before we started the show, you know, man.
All right, but we have people
Holy
fighting
smokes.
back.
Let's try the speaker again and see what happens. I mean, I don't need it for this one, but if we restart it, it may. So these are people fighting the lockdowns.
I guess so. I'm not exactly sure what this is.
Mikey B is in the UK. It says, I'm in an area that is fairly open, but me and my friends are still defying the restrictions.
Yes.
Good for you.
Defy all restrictions. Defy all restrictions. No idea what's happening here. But I think it was a big deal at some point. It said 500,000 views.
Wow. And
I don't know if it was over masks.
what's the point, right? Like, of the lockdowns, if people are going to protest anyway, and they're going to do that, how about just no lockdowns?
Yeah.
Because they're going to be mixing and, if you think, spreading the plague.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like you'd be better off just not having any lockdowns, letting people have their Christmases.
So I know that you say that things are out to normal, and I think that would be great if they were. But I feel rather sad for these people who Londoners fleeing from St. Pancras this evening following Tier 4 announcement, and. Nigel Farage says, "Congratulations, Prime Minister, and your experts. You have caused the first evacuation
And that's what
of
I'm
London."
just saying. I'm just saying the same thing. Like, this really is... So the lockdowns have created people wanting to flee. Mm-hmm. And so now they're all just... And this goes to what I was saying the other day. Everything that they're doing, from the masks to this, is to actually spread the virus. They want it to spread. They totally want it to spread.
Yeah.
That is their goal. Their goal is
their
to
goal.
spread this virus. And so that's why they've instituted the mask mandates, because they know it spreads the virus more. And that is why they have instituted these lockdowns, because right before Christmas, because they know it funnels people, and then they can stand from big, oh, you bad people.
Nigel Farage, Christmas canceled. Thank you, China. And I love that Nigel Farage is getting in Twitter arguments with China state-affiliated media, which he tweeted out, replying to Nigel Farage, Cheng Wei-hu says, wear a mask and stop talking SHIT, to which Nigel Farage retweets, the Chinese Communist Party don't like the truth and always respond aggressively. They should pay the West reparations for this global disaster.
That's good.
He also tweeted out, Donald Trump, we don't want to have lockdowns. The cure cannot be worse than the problem itself. Let's see. Where are we at? Oh, yeah. And this was fantastic. They miss Nigel in the European Parliament.
Since the British have left,
Man, let's try this.
European Parliament has become
Okay, that might work.
more boring, if I may say. And without Nigel Farage over there in the corner, rather quiet, like a provincial assembly. But Mr. Farage has found other topics to play the naughty boy of Britain. Without the British, the right to dissent seems to disappear from this parliament, unfortunately. Since the British have left,
and since Nigel's gone and the British have gone, the right to dissent has disappeared.
Wow.
What does that tell you about the English Commonwealth and their... I guess I think it's so important that when we do these European shows, that we recognize that it's always been England that has been on the edge and on the forefront of freedom of speech and freedoms for the common man.
Yeah.
And I would say not always. Let me take that back. As far as European law goes, we came out of the Dark Ages as human beings, as the West, out of the Middle Ages, where kings ruled as tyrants. And you had William and Mary, and you had the common law, and you had Sir Edward Coke, and you had John Locke, and you had William Blackstone, and you had great legal minds. And they were led by what they read in the Word of God, and how each person has inalienable rights. If you are in Britain and you have not read the first and second treaties of government, you're not really British.
By John Locke.
By John Locke. It's not long, and you can listen to them on audiobook, and I've listened to both. And for us as Americans, I don't need to read the first one over and over again. But you do. And you need to understand that the first treatise of government is about the divine right of kings, and John Locke destroys the idea of a divine right of kings that has gone down throughout ages, whether you are a pagan or a Christian. And he also destroys the idea that misogyny and that fathers have complete control over their children for the rest of their lives. Mm-hmm. And under the divine right of kings, they say that kings have this divine mandate from God, from Adam. And John Locke utterly destroys that idea. And this is the idea of nature and nature's law. God did not set up one man to rule the world or to rule a country. And you need to understand it, because it's on the laws of nature and the nature's God that you fight the lockdowns, that you fight the restrictions, that you have the power. We are the people, and we hold the power. There are more of us than are of them. And your police aren't even very well armed. So good for you, right? I saw a video, and I don't know if I have it up, of the police knocking on the door of a gym owner. A gym owner. There's like 12 police officers there. Like he's building a bomb. Hey, why did everyone leave when we showed up? I have an outdoor gym. Well, are you allowed to have an outdoor gym? Well, police have come by. Haven't said anything. Well, I don't think you should be allowed to have an outdoor gym. Gosh. There's nothing written, like, what are the rules? Like, it's literally willy-nilly, 12 police, shut down your outdoor exercise. What is happening here is this amazing, we have to rise up, and this is our opportunity to say, no, you're an idiot. I would just look in their faces and say, and I know they're there, and I know they're there to shut down his business, but you are an idiot. People need to fight off viruses. They need to be healthy. Okay? They need to work out.
You know what's so interesting to me in all of this is how many of the underlings, right, like the police officers, are complying with enforcing these rules, because you and I know mm-hmm. that the United States election, mm-hmm. the stalling on Brexit, the plague here, it is all tied together mm-hmm. for the global reset, mm-hmm. yeah, right?
Exactly.
It's not to keep people safe. It is not 2 weeks to slow the spread. Mm-hmm. So the fact that they're getting the police to go along with this, it's really interesting to me, because I know why they want to shut down the gyms. I know why they want to shut things down. I know why they don't care if you fly with a packed plane. They don't care if you flood into Walmart with 800 people, but you can't have Thanksgiving or Christmas dinner with some of your family.
Well,
I know why.
You just saw the video of people packing in the airport.
Yeah.
And you can't work out in the gym like 10 guys.
Right. It's all about control. It's a mind game, and I have good news for you.
Good news.
I have good news for you. This is not the end times. And we are not going to heck in a handbasket. And God is going to literally swoop in and stop all of this. And they are going to look like little pansies.
Peter Hitchens here.
They're going to, well, y'all know.
Peter Hitchens here in his Daily Mail on Sunday column. Mary, no, this year we need an angry Christmas. I am angry. I am angry. Now the courts can't even be trusted to save us.
It's as plain as the nose on your face. Like I always say, when the devil comes at you with a pitchfork and horns, or when the Grinch comes at you for Christmas, you know what side you're on. It's so simple.
Yeah, exactly 3 weeks to flatten the curve, and here we are still in our open air prison, and we will be there forever, Peter Hitchens says, if we don't all wake up and start thinking. This is like one of those old style deep south prison farms where they can rearrest you just as you finish your sentence.
Patty asks on Facebook, what is the title of John Locke writings you are speaking of? It's the first and second treaties of civil government. You have to give them the whole title so they can actually search it. But I found listening to the LibriVox.org free audio is really enjoyable. So you can go to LibriVox, like LibriVox.org. Just put in the search criteria, John Locke with an E, L-O-C-K-E, and look for the first and second treaties of civil government. You will not be sorry having listened to those.
What's the alternative? Open up and let the virus rip through society? Peter Hitchens says, your question is like a man who has burned down his house to get rid of a wasp's nest. Responding to the gaping crowds as they gaze at the embers of his home, and the unharmed wasp buzzing around it, saying, well, what would you have done? What would you have done? I actually really like that as an example. Burning down the house to try to kill a wasp nest, and the wasps leave. All you've done is take out the wasp's nest.
Yeah. And you've lost your house.
The American Institute for Economic Research.
You've lost your house.
Lockdowns do not control the coronavirus, evidence says. The use of universal lockdowns in the event of the appearance of a new pathogen has no precedent. And oh my word, somebody fact check this, because somebody sent me an article. Oh my gosh, that the 1918 flu, YouTube, I don't know if you kicked me off or not, was caused by a massive vaccine push.
Right.
They had massive vaccines left over after World War I.
Yeah.
And they vaccinated all these people. And sometimes they vaccinated them with 4 or 5 vaccines, and the hospitals just filled up with people with symptoms from all these diseases at one time.
Right.
And how did 50 to 100 million people die? And they called it the Spanish flu to try to cover it all up. And it wasn't a flu. It was the vaccines that they were putting in people's bodies, which at the time vaccines were still relatively new. And a lot of these were very experimental.
So I have a worry.
And I was like, what?
I have a worry on that, to that point, that the COVID vaccine that they are releasing may actually kill people from COVID, right? And that the purpose is to have the death rates spike, and they're using the vaccine
article
as a
had
way
said,
to...
see, here's the thing. We have the internet. They didn't have the internet back then. They didn't have people able to just put 2 and 2 together. They were saying that only the vaccinated died in the 1918. Only the vaccinated died.
And how long would it take in a situation where they're trying to cover up the news in a situation like ours? Would it take to find out that it's the people that had the vaccine that are dying versus...
It would take a long time to put those 2 and 2 together. So it has been a science experiment in real time. And honestly, guys, a lot of the times when we have our technical difficulties and frustrations, it's because it's one of the most important episodes that we do. Because we're fighting a force. we can laugh. I can laugh at Boris Johnson and the Christmas lockdowns, but that is an evil force. It's an evil spiritual force, and we're coming against that. And they knew, the powers that be, that we were going to come against that in this show and tell you to buck it, to tell you to fight it, to tell you get your antlers out and charge on through. No more. No more. We're not taking this. We aren't taking this. You are lying to us. I love the potato wig guy because Boris Johnson is a dimwit, and he is rather stupid, and I do not say that lightly. So why would you listen to him versus other scientists?
Yeah.
You get to choose which scientist you listen to.
Yes.
And he is not one. He is a blowhard. He is full of hot air. He doesn't know anything. He really doesn't. And his science, remember his science predictors that said 1 to 2 million people were going to die? They lied to us. Now, we here on Resistance 6, we covered the Wuhan virus like it was real. And I'm going to tell you something. The Chinese know us better than we thought. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I will not be listening to Chinese propaganda. I will check
under the
and
guise
double check.
of non-propaganda, because that's what they did. They came out and they played 4D chess on this.
This was a strategic win.
They played like they were trying to hide stuff, like they were embarrassed that this happened, right? In their kind of controlling of the narrative.
What we learned was that China has a greater hold on their firewall than what we thought.
They don't let anything out. Nothing gets out of China. So if you have a video that leaked out of China, it was pushed out on purpose for propaganda.
So they allowed these strategic leaks. Okay? Now, the only leak I find credible is the Hong Kong woman who has come out and said, this thing came from a lab, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And she believes that it was, and this is how I know she's not one of them, because she's saying, I believe they released it on purpose. It wasn't an accident.
Right.
That this was war. Okay, now the Hong Kongers have their own agenda. And they would very much like everything to be blamed on China. And right now, I am with them. Okay? Because this stuff, this Agenda 2030 is designed to turn us into a totalitarian state.
Speaking of Agenda 2030, I kind of wonder, are they kicking I understand that they've had Agenda 2030 for a while, but it kind of feels like they're like, you know what, guys? I think Agenda 21 might not happen as quickly as we thought. So maybe we should just kick the can down a little bit, like 9 years.
So, American Institute for Economic Research. The question is whether lockdowns work to control the virus in a way that is scientifically verifiable. Can we get some science here? Can we get some science? Anyone? Can we get some science?
No. We are meant and told that we have to trust the science, even if they don't give us any science.
Yeah.
As proof.
Yeah.
You must trust that we are telling you.
It's a religion of science.
Yes.
It's a religion of science with the WHO as God elect. Based on the following studies, the answer is no for a variety of reasons. Bad data, no correlations, no casual demonstration, anomalous exceptions, and so on. There is no relationship, absolutely none, between lockdowns or whatever people want to call them to mask their true name and virus control. Perhaps this is a shocking revelation, given that universal social and economic controls are becoming the new orthodoxy. In a saner world, the burden of proof really should belong to the lockdowners. Since it is they who overthrew 100 years of public health wisdom and replaced it with an untested top-down imposition on freedom and human rights. They never accepted that burden. They took it as axiomatic that a virus could be intimidated and threatened by credentials and edicts and speeches and masked how do you say that word? Masked people. The pro-lockdown evidence is shockingly thin, based largely on comparing real-world outcomes against dire computer-generated forecasts derived from empirically untested models, and then merely posting the non-pharmaceutical interventions account for the difference between the fictionalized versus the real outcome. The anti-lockdown studies, on the other hand, actually are evidence-based, robust, and thorough, grappling with the data we have with all its flaws and looking at the results in light of controls on the population. Much of the following list has been put together by data engineer Ivor Cummings, who has waged a year-long educational effort to upend intellectual support for lockdowns. The American Institute for Economic Research has added its own and the summaries. The upshot is that the virus is going to do as viruses do, same as always in the history of infectious disease. We have extremely limited control over them, and that which we do have is bound up with time and place. Fear, panic, coercion are not ideal strategies for managing viruses. Intelligent medical therapeutics fare much better, but they send you home with no treatment, even though there are plenty of treatments. These studies are focused only on lockdown and their relationship to virus control. They do not get into the myriad-associated issues that have vexed the world, such as mask mandates. I'm going to go into later the PCR testing issues, the death misclassification problem, as we saw one woman, was it in Canada? One small town that,
Yeah, I think so.
That 2 gunshot wounds were labeled as COVID in a small town. Restaurant closer. So, number 1, a country...
She was the coroner.
Coroner, yeah.
Wasn't just any woman.
Yeah, I'm sorry, the coroner. A country-level analysis measuring the impact of government actions, country preparedness, and socioeconomic factors on COVID-19 mortality and related outcome concerns. It says, their summary, full lockdowns and widespread COVID-19 tested were not associated with reductions in the number of critical cases or overall mortality. Was Germany's corona lockdown necessary? Official data from Germany's RKI agency suggested strongly that the spread of the coronavirus in Germany receded autonomously before any interventions became effective. Several reasons for such an autonomous decline have been suggested. One is that differences in host susceptibility and behavior can result in herd immunity at a relatively low prevalence level. Accounting for individual variation in susceptibility to exposure to the coronavirus yields a maximum of 17 to 20% of the population that needs to be infected to reach herd immunity, an estimate that is empirically supported by the cohort of the Diamond Princess cruise ship. Another reason is that seasonality may also play an important role in dissipation. Estimation of the current development of SARS-CoV-2 epidemic in Germany. In general, however, not all infected people develop symptoms. Not all those who develop symptoms go to the doctor's office. Not all who go to the doctor's office are tested, and not all who test positive are also recorded in a data collection system. In addition, there is a certain amount of time between all these individual steps so that no survey system, no matter how good, can make a statement about the current infection process.
Wow.
Without additional assumptions and calculations. Did COVID-19 infections decline before the UK lockdown? By Simon Norwood. A Bayesian inverse problem approach applied to UK data on the COVID-19 deaths and the disease duration distribution suggests that infections were in decline before full UK lockdowns on March 24th, and that infections in Sweden started to decline only a day or two later. An analysis of UK data using the model of Flaxman gives the same result under relaxation of the prior assumptions. So basically, the lockdowns do not work, and they are not helpful. And with this information, you can buck the system. Because if you think to yourself, part of the way that it's helpful, or the government kind of knows what they're talking about, or maybe we can stop the spread of viruses, we cannot. Now, I will say this. If I do not go places, I will probably not catch the flu. But the flu is there. And if I go places, I could catch the flu. Icky kids, snotty kids, people get sick.
Yeah, I'll tell you another thing. You're on a... no, go ahead. You do yours and I'll finish mine.
In a recent article, Flaxman...
no, I want you to finish your thought. I don't
okay.
want to interrupt your thoughts. That makes you upset. It makes me upset when I do it too. Speaking of the snotty kids, okay? We have family members. You know, Uncle Jack lives with us, and our cousins who are like our brothers have sons, okay? Now, every time we get together in the winter, one of them is inevitably sick. And I always think to myself, I gotta really boost my immune system. I'm putting my thieves oil in the diffuser on my face. I'm doing everything that I can, taking my vitamin C and everything like that, but understanding that gathering together at these Christmas times is a potential for spreading sickness. Okay?
But I don't mean to interrupt you, but when they have symptoms.
Exactly. I was getting to that.
Okay.
Right. But if they come over and they're not sniffly or snotty, or mom and dad aren't telling me they haven't felt good, yada, yada, yada.
Nobody gets sick.
No one gets sick, and I'm not worried about it. So when we come to COVID-19, the biggest thing that they did to perpetuate, if they had never come up with this asymptomatic people can spread the virus,
yeah,
no one would have gone along with the lockdowns.
Exactly.
Not a single person. If you're sick, you stay home.
So simple.
Right?
So
but
simple.
As soon as they came up with that, which we really don't even have science to back that up.
Yeah.
Right?
Here's the thing. I'm actually all for, if you're sick, stay at home.
Right.
And we have, as a society, really done ourselves a disfavor when it comes to flus and stuff like that, because we tell people to buck it up.
You need to go to work.
And bosses don't only let you
go
off
to church
for so many days and things like that. So if you're sniffly, if you're sneezy, if you're not feeling well, you can't take off. You're going to go...
Kids are ridiculed at school when they take a day off of school. Like, exactly. I remember going to school, and if I didn't feel good, when I showed up, it was like, you're given, after you've been off for a couple of days.
You should just be strong and go.
You should just go.
I believe our post office got us sick because they admitted the whole back room sick, sniffling, sneezing,
spreading
snot,
COVID
everywhere, or whatever it is that they were spreading. My point is that there are sane things that we can do to stop the spread of sicknesses that probably should be implemented.
Yeah.
Okay. And instead of
allowing people who are ill to
throwing
stay
out
at
the
home.
baby with the bathwater. Okay.
Right.
We can throw out the bathwater and just say, if you're feeling ill, stay home.
Yeah.
Don't go. And that is so simple. Are you having any symptoms? Don't come in. And
they already do that to the doctor's offices and other places. They'll ask you, have you had any COVID symptoms?
But that's all we should be doing.
Yeah.
That's all we should be doing. Okay? And if you are sick, then maybe those people who are sick and have to go to the grocery store, maybe they wear masks.
Right.
Maybe I will meet you halfway. If you are sniffling and sneezing and snot is coming out your nose, then maybe ask. Don't demand those people to find a way, because we do know that when you're sniffling and sneezing, you're blowing your nose and you touch the surface, you spread things around. Okay, a couple more things just to give you guys some peace. Comment on the Flaxman article here. The illusionary effects of non-pharmaceutical interventions. Okay, non-pharmaceutical interventions, the illusion of these lockdowns working. Okay, in a recent article, Flaxman et al. Alleged that non-pharmaceutical interventions imposed by 11 European countries saved millions of lives. We show that their methods involve circular reasoning. The purported effects are pure artifacts, which contradict the data. Moreover, we demonstrate that the United Kingdom's lockdown was both superfluous and ineffective. I absolutely love that word. It's one of my favorite words. Professor Ben Israel's analysis of virus transmission in April. Some may claim that the decline in the number of additional patients every day is a result of tight lockdown imposed by the government and health authorities. Examining the data of different countries around the world casts a heavy question mark on the above statement. It turns out that a similar pattern, rapid increase in infections that reaches a peak in the 6th week and declines from the 8th. We are past the. Have you seen some of the past that? The only reason the numbers are up because the tests are up, right? Let's see. There are so much. This is from the Economic Institute, or American Institute for Economic Research, and you guys can look through all of these. Look how many there are. 24 of them. Wow. 24 empirical, scientific articles showing that the shutdowns and the lockdowns don't have any effect on the spread of the disease. All right. There's a really good article I want to bring up.
Boris Johnson here in the chat has their screen name as Boris Johnson, which I love. No lockdowns will prevent from having Christmas. Our billionaires, fundraisers, and politicians who are helping as virus is just normal virus, but we need to rise up deaths, but not taking care of any other illnesses. Mm-hmm. That's what they keep doing.
All right. So this was so powerful. Okay, so I think I tweeted this out. This should go in the chat so you guys can read this yourself. It's the Principia Scientific .com, Principia-scientific.com / who finally admits COVID-19 PCR test has a problem.
Wow. How far ago did you tweet it?
Oh, a while back.
Like today a while?
No, like yesterday probably.
Okay.
If you can't find it, we'll just
I'll find
type it in the search result. There it is. In a statement released December 14th, the World Health Organization finally owned up to what hundreds of thousands of doctors and medical professionals have been saying for months. So I don't know if you guys saw the video, and I don't even know if you can find it to bring it up, where the inventor of the PCR test rails on Fauci. And he was killed right before the COVID hit in 2019, December, I believe, of 2019. Mm-hmm. And they've been using this PCR test to diagnose COVID-19. It's probably something you could find more on BitChute. The PCR test used to diagnose COVID-19 is a hit and miss process with way too many false positives. The WHO admitted the problem comes in the wake of international lawsuits exposing the incompetence and malfeasance of public health officials and policymakers for reliance on a diagnostic test that is not fit for purpose. The WHO admission is that the crux of the problem is a wholly arbitrary cycling process, which means that many cycles were required to detect the virus in this, and they're running it through and they're running it through and they're running it through. I am not a biologist. You can put in PCR tests and see if you come up with inventor, maybe see inventor and Fauci. I don't know if you come up with anything. It'd be so cool if you did. That might be the before his death PCR guy.
But this one's 1 minute and 46 seconds. This one, there it is right there. Isn't that it?
No, that's one, but I think it was the one I watched.
15 minutes.
Okay. Well, I think if you bring it to the side to see if you can find the one clip where he's railing on Fauci. Because somebody else. Yeah, and then I think he talks about it. So go ahead and let's play it. Carrie Mullins. So. Okay.
Can we rewind it?
Yeah.
Oh, it's muted.
It's muted.
I see that.
Start him again.
And I was getting really freaked. Got to be somebody that knows this. So you go to experts and ask them. And so I asked all these people one after the other, and none of them had it.
Sorry, guys. I'm trying to get big without it getting too big.
And I was getting really freaked
that's too big.
about that. That's when I first started saying, they don't know. Nobody really knows. This whole thing is a big sham.
This whole thing is a big sham.
That's Carrie Mullis, the inventor of the hyper-popular RT-PCR test that Big Pharma and the biotechs are capitalizing on. Guess what he's saying is a big sham. You need to stay tuned because everybody needs to see this.
We've been talking a lot about and have this for your.
So there's a whole video. I guess that's I like this guy, but I don't want the but I don't.
That's why I just said it was 15 minutes.
I know, but I thought maybe you'd play the video in the beginning and then talk about it
other ones. Here, let's look here and see if any.
That one. PCR test inventor. There we go.
This one right here.
No, one underneath of it.
This one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is it? What is it about humanity that wants to go to all the details and stuff and listen? You know, these guys like Fauci get up there and start talking. You know, he doesn't know anything really about anything, and I'd say that to his face. Nothing. The man thinks you can take a blood sample and stick it in an electron microscope, and if it's got a virus in there, you'll know it. He doesn't understand electron microscopy, and he doesn't understand medicine. And he should not be in a position like he's in. Most of those guys up there on the top are just total administrative people, and they don't know anything about what's going on the bottom. You know, those guys have got an agenda, which is not what we would like them to have, being that we pay for them to take care of our health in some way. They've got a personal kind of agenda. They make up their own rules as they go. They change them when they want to, and they smugly, like Tony Fauci, does not mind going on television in front of the people that pay his salary and lie directly into the camera. You can't expect the sheep
This is a long time ago.
to really respect the best and the brightest. They don't know the difference, really. I mean, I like humans. Don't get me wrong, but basically, the vast majority of them do not possess the ability to judge who is and who isn't a really good scientist. I mean, that's a problem. That's a main problem, actually, with science, I say, in this century, because science is being judged by people. Funding is being done by people who don't understand it. Okay, who do we trust? Fauci? Fauci doesn't know enough to, If Fauci wants to get on television with somebody who knows a little bit about this stuff and debate him, he could easily do it, because he's been asked. I mean, I've had a lot of people, president of the University of South Carolina, ask Fauci if he'd come down there and debate me on the stage in front of the student body, because I wanted somebody who was from the other side to come down there and balance because I felt like, well, these guys can listen to me, but I need to have somebody else down here that's going to tell me the other side. But Fauci didn't want to do it.
Okay. All right, so that was pretty powerful, and you can look up more on Kerry Mullins, but he invented this PCR test. Now, why is this diagnostic test not fit for this particular purpose? So it's an arbitrary cycling of the process to try to find a bit of the coronavirus, and there's a distinction. Means that the many cycles were required to detect the virus. In some circumstances, the distinction between background noise and the actual presence of the target virus is difficult to ascertain. That is from the WHO paper. The UN body is now clearly looking to distance itself from the fatally flawed test, as a growing number of lawsuits are processing through the courts, exposing the insanity on relying on a test that even the inventor, Professor Kerry Mullins, said was never designed to diagnose diseases. Professor Mullins was awarded the Nobel Prize in Chemistry in 1993. Coincidentally, Mullins died just before the pandemic started.
Coincidentally.
Okay, so on November 22nd, 2020, a landmark court case in Portugal had ruled that the polymerase chain reaction, the PCR, used worldwide to diagnose COVID-19 was not fit for purpose. Most importantly, the judges ruled that a single PCR test cannot be used as an effective diagnosis of infection. Even the Off Guardian reported at the time. In their ruling, these two judges, Portuguese judges, two women actually, looks like Margarida Ramos de Almeida and Ana Parmes, referred to several scientific studies. Most notably, there was a study by Jafar et al., which found that when running the PCR test with cycles of 35 or more, the accuracy dropped by 3%, meaning up to 95% positive results could be false positives. The ruling goes on to conclude that based on the science they read, any PCR test using over 25 cycles to try to find the virus was totally unreliable, and governments and private labs have been very tight-lipped about how many they use, but they use upwards of 35 to 45 cycles.
All right, I want to explain these cycles to you guys because I know that science is a little bit difficult for some people, and you'll get it when I explain it to you in layman's terms. What they do is they actually replicate. If they don't get enough sample, right, they stick the thing up your nose and they're trying to find enough sample of COVID-19 in there. They are allowed to, and when I say allowed, I mean per the scientific method, allowed to duplicate that a certain number of times to get enough substance to say whether you actually have something or not. These people are duplicating this, far exceeding the amount of the acceptable rate that you need to duplicate something in order to recognize that it's there. So we don't actually know if the person, it's like taking something, if you amplify it enough, okay, you get a Brit Girl here is in the chat. I went to her YouTube page and I downloaded her picture because I was going to put it in the thumbnail for today's show. right? But it was a much smaller picture, really, really, really small. So when I blow that up as big as I need it, I wasn't going to make it this big, but as big as I need it for my thumbnail, it was totally distorted, totally pixelated. Okay, so that's essentially what they're doing. They're trying to take something and that does not have enough information to prove what it is at all, and they amplify it so big to try to then convince us that it is telling a picture that is not there. I was actually able to go online and download your picture from your Googleable and get it there. But my point is, that's exactly what they're doing here. And they will take something so microscopic and they build on it and build on it and build on it that it should fall over. Yeah. But the PCR test and the media essentially are shoring it up to say, no, this really for sure is COVID, when a lot of times what they're building on are the basic strains of coronaviruses that we already all have and carry around with us because it's a common thing, and the flu and the common cold and so many other building blocks in COVID-19.
Right.
That it says, oh, this must be COVID because look at all this. No, you duplicated that far above what the scientific method allowed for. So I wanted to explain that to you guys when we're talking about these cycles.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you stick with us, I don't know if we want to try to like finish the show and bring her on. I don't know how we can bring her on how would we bring her on through Skype without testing it?
Well, we would just bring her on.
Okay. We can try that. Okay. Let's finish this and we can bring her on and we can talk about the lockdowns there in the UK because she just went out to dinner. So obviously not locked down. This misuse of the RT-PCR technique is used as a relentless and intentional strategy by some governments, supported by scientific safety councils and by the dominant media to justify excessive measures, such as the violation of a large number of constitutional rights, the destruction of the economy with bankruptcy of entire active sectors of society, the degradation of living conditions for a large number of ordinary citizens under the pretext of a pandemic based on a number of positive RT-PCR tests and not a real number of patients. Clear and conclusive scientific evidence proves that these tests are not accurate and create a statistically significant percentage of false positives. None of this is new information to science. These facts were known at least before 2007, after a New York Times report entitled "Faith in Quick Tests Leads to Epidemic That Wasn't" clearly showed how scientifically inaccurate these PCR tests are, featuring many shocking statements. And this was in 2007 from the New York Times, from medical experts on the use of these tests, clearly laying out how they result in false positives and lead to dangerous exaggeration of false alarms. In their 2007 story in the New York Times cited a precedent quote from Dr. Elizabeth Talbot, Deputy State Epidemiologist for New Hampshire Department of Health and Human Services, who said, one of the most troubling aspects of the pseudo epidemic is that all the decisions seemed so sensible at the time. Those who run our public institutions have allowed history to repeat itself. At the head of the line of incompetence and malfeasance is the UN itself. And the media briefing on COVID-19 on March 16, 2020, the WHO said, we have a simple message for all countries: test, test, test. This insanity of testing anyone and everyone without symptoms has been an unmitigated global public health scandal and must be stopped. I love it. I'm so glad. I mean, this is people are talking. People are speaking up. These tests are not helpful, and you really don't know. So when you hear, oh, so and so many people have COVID, we don't really know. We don't really know. You only know by the symptoms that present themselves. All right. So, oh my gosh. Northumberland, for the second time in a week, a person facing charges originating from mask issues has to be tasered.
Wow. I can't.
Tasered.
No, because what they're acting like, and they're treating you as if you are a weapon. You are a biological walking weapon, and you must be stopped because anywhere you go, you could kill someone. Outside of that, you have no right to tase anyone.
So here's the thing. All right. He had given people at the store grief about the mask. So staff of the store allowed the person to purchase the items, and he had just left the store as the police arrived. Witnesses to the occurrence stated the man was wearing a Trump 2020 hat and was stating how the government is corrupt. Police advised the man that he was being told to leave the property by management.
Right.
The man then became verbally aggressive with the officers. When the officers asked for his identification, the man refused. At that point, officers just told the man to leave the property. The man berated the officers once again, saying it was a waste of money to send 3 officers along with vulgar language. I would say, it's illegal to be able to yell at police. I'm pretty sure I've seen BLM.
Wow.
You just can't spit on them and stuff. After yelling obscenities at the officers, he finally walked away 20 meters before turning back and walking back. Cunningham stated at the time there was a couple walking by the area when the man once again yelled at the top of his lung. At that point, police attempted to arrest the individual for causing a disturbance and trespassing. He resisted and wouldn't put his hands behind his back, and we kept saying stop resisting, and then transitioned to the ground to execute the arrest. And then I guess he was tased. So
I can't.
There you go.
That's crazy. All right, let's go ahead and see if we can bring Brit Girl on with the Skype. Unplug your HDMI briefly so we can bring up her Skype and it doesn't have to get everywhere. I'm going to try and adjust the lighting here while you're doing that. So, Brit Girl, we are going to bring you on, and I'm really excited about this. I went ahead and sent an invitation on there, so she should show up.
Awesome.
Your camera's really fuzzy.
I see that.
Is that any better?
I don't know. No. What's going on with my camera?
Here, look, I have a box of tissues here. You can try that. Wait, I have to actually open it.
Open them.
This is real deal live stuff. I've never actually pulled anybody on from Skype in the middle of a show, so you guys are here for that. This is a first for us here.
It's kind of...
You're going to spit on it?
It's my computer.
She just spat on you.
There,
perfect.
you fixed it. Oh, yay. Just need to clean it up a bit.
That's fantastic. Okay, just click OK, and then there you go. That one. We're hiding the name.
This
It's
one?
just Brit Girl. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so I have sent an invitation. You could probably go ahead and try calling and see if she answers.
Isn't that what I'm doing?
No, I sent an invitation.
How do I
You need to
call?
actually press the video button there.
I don't Skype. I should Skype. Oh, there we are. I should Skype more so I know what I'm doing in the future. We're connecting. Over the pond! We're sending our video. Oh, she isn't online. Try again.
All right, Brit Girl, it says you're not online. I don't have an invite.
Is it the right one?
It should be. I used the email that she sent to me. You can try and find me if you want. You can look us up. Look up Resistance Chicks, but my actual name on there I think is, I'll put it in the chat here so you can copy it.
All right. Well, while...
The email that it's under, geez, did we decide it was gobag3@yahoo.com?
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Answer.
Yay.
No, that's just, you just answered with the phone. You didn't answer with the video.
How do I answer with video?
There you go. There she is!
Yay!
Hello! All right, so we're plugging you in. Now, let us know if our audio is okay for you, because normally we would hook you up with my system, but this is a new system and we don't have a webcam for it. Well, we do. We're just using it for the streaming. So we're not, do we have any kind of, can we flip her screen there?
She just flipped it. We just flipped it on accident. I think I just flipped her when I plugged her in. I don't know what happened. She's sideways.
There we go.
Is. Okay.
That's perfect. That's absolutely.
We're good. There she is.
Now, do you want to try?
No, you're fine. You're fine.
You're fine. All right, now I'm going to try and turn this speaker on here.
One more time, but I don't
one more time,
work.
and we're going to see if we can get this, because I want the audio on this to be good.
I love your sweatshirt. But you haven't survived 2020 all the way, so we'll see.
Your speakers are muted.
Oh, my speaker's muted.
I love what she says. Look at that. Look at that.
It's not working. It's not. I'm muted.
Is it because I had you switch the audio?
So,
All right, go back.
What about now? What about now?
There we go. We can hear you.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
It's gonna be fuzzy.
Try saying something again. I want to see if it's really bad fuzzy.
So you mind telling people, did you go out to dinner? Did you break the lockdown, or were you in lockdown?
It's a real big delay.
Is a really bad delay?
That's not gonna work. It's too fuzzy.
We are in tier 2.
I think it's gonna be better than this.
Okay. So are you under tier 2? What are you allowed to do?
So we just
Oops.
pretty much everything except go out to drink without a meal.
Okay. Okay. Do you have friends and family who are in the tier 3 and 4?
Yeah, our Christmas has just been ruined.
Ruined.
So there's no travel for anyone else that wants to actually go someplace.
Yeah, our Christmas has been ruined. No, there is. It's just people are too flipping scared to do it.
Okay. Okay. They're too scared to do it. They're too scared. Do you think that people will obey and just listen and cancel Christmas? Did she hear me? Did you hear me?
I think there's just a delay.
Okay.
Yeah, you just have to give me a minute for it to catch up my end.
Okay. Do you think people will obey? Or do you think people will just bucket and do Christmas?
Oh, Christmas. Yeah. I think right now it's 50-50.
Okay. So some people will just obey and some people will just bucket and say, hey, we're getting together. Do you think the police are going to be out on Christmas Day knocking on doors?
I have absolutely no idea, but they've actually stated that they won't do that on the Christmas Day. They've said that it's not their job to police Christmas. They have set up roadblocks around the country, the main roads, in and out of London. So the police are stopping people coming in and out of cities. But where I am, thankfully, a lot of politicians live. Therefore, we are still in tier 2.
Okay.
Because we couldn't have it affecting their lives now.
Oh,
could we?
sure.
Oh, that makes so much sense. That makes so much sense.
Yeah, I'm thankfully in a tier 2 area, but my sister and brother-in-law have decided that they are going to adhere to Doris, as we call him, because the man has no stones. So we call him Doris now, or the potato in a wig, as Katie Hopkins likes to refer to him as.
I love that.
But yeah, it's really sad how compliant people are. I genuinely thought I lived in a country that was smarter than this.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's quite tragic, but it's also opened my eyes massively to just how easily manipulated people are.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's quite tragic, really.
Okay. So what do you think Boris...
What's going on? Wait.
What do you think
Sorry.
Boris's chances are hanging on to the prime ministership? Do you think he'll be recalled, or you think that once Christmas is over, people will...
He's going to retire.
You think so?
He'll retire by May. By May, he'll be out. He'll have taken his money that he's made from his vaccine investments and his COVID testing investments.
Wow.
And he'll be living on a tropical island somewhere, unless Trump gets to him first, of course.
So wait a minute. I didn't know anything about these investments.
Right.
He has investments in the...
Oh, yeah.
What?
Huge. Yeah, huge investments. Him and Matt Hancock. Matt Hancock, our health minister, who doesn't actually give a crap about anyone's health, because if he did, he'd be promoting how to boost your immune system, how to take vitamins and supplements and vitamin C, get out in the sunshine, socialize. Basically, anything that's healthy for you has been banned. Socializing, seeing your friends, having fun. Everything's banned. What they want you to do is sit at home, get fat, drink alcohol, smoke cigarettes, and live in fear.
Right.
So that is something
and I refuse to.
that makes so much sense. If he has investments in the testing and in the vaccines, then this is more diabolical than just, I'm listening to some scientists. That's evil. Like, that is beyond evil. Like, I think
it should be illegal though, right?
Yeah.
I think Boris played us worse than China did.
Wow.
He made us believe he was a Brexiteer, he was going to be our Trump, but actually, when you look at pictures of him, he wears the Agenda 21 pin, he's got relationships with China, his mistress, who he left his wife for, was in satanic porn, who he's had a baby with, yet nobody's seen this baby since it was born.
That's a good question.
In his ear. Yeah, I mean, people go, Matt Hancock, he's got 35% shares in the vaccine.
Wow.
They made millions off the ventilators that they invested £18 billion in and haven't been used because obviously you can't treat a virus with a ventilator.
Wow.
Right.
So it's absolute bonkers. I mean, nothing makes sense in this country right now, and it just astounds me how little critical thinking there is from people, how they just go along with anything that they're told. If he told them to hop up and down on one leg and touch their nose to the shops, you would see hordes of people doing it. Well, it's just hilarious at this point.
It reminds me of going back because I was watching some of your videos. I was searching for you before we brought you on today. And it kind of reminds me of how you did a video that I saw. I don't remember who had posted it. It wasn't on your channel, about how we kind of got here to this point, like the plan.
The Barcelona Declaration.
Yeah, the plan that has been this is all part of a strategic plan. This is not by happen chance. Like, this is all by design. So this has
been in construction for well over 100 years now.
Yeah.
Anyone who knows what's going on will know that this has been played out for the last 100 years or so. This has been since the turn of the 20th century. They've been trying desperately to gain the New World Order, and that's basically what we're in now. This isn't black versus white or rich versus poor. This is good versus evil.
Yeah.
This is a spiritual warfare we're in, and people need to wake the hell up and realise that the people who run our country are not good people. They're not to be trusted, and they don't give a shit about public health. Apologies for my language.
No, you're fine. It reminds me, though, of Pavlov's dogs, right?
Yeah.
So we've been trained over the past 100 years, whether it was compulsory education or the media or these fake wars, that we just toe the line, we answer the bell. When the bell dings, we show up. And so they dinged the bell this time with the virus. And I find myself the same as you. I walk in stores and I look around with people with their masks on, and I'm astounded at the compliance, but I shouldn't be. Like, I should not be, because I went to public school.
Yeah.
I know how they taught us, and it was all mind games.
Yeah.
That they have been doing for 100 years. It's an amazingly brilliant, well laid out plan.
Absolutely.
The good news is, like you said, we're in a spiritual battle, so we know that God wins in the end. But the fact that they actually got it this far,
it's pretty far.
It's astounding.
It's pretty far. They went farther than anybody could.
It's going to be further. It's going to get further before this ends. Of that, I have absolutely no doubt. Unless Trump invokes martial law and takes back his election and drains that swamp.
Yeah.
The people don't realize how important your country is for the Western world.
Yeah.
Where you go, we follow.
Right.
Yeah.
And unless Trump gets the election overturned and he starts getting the indictments and filling Gitmo with Clinton and Obama, all of the rhinos and Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, and Justice Roberts, I'm absolutely astounded how compromised the Supreme Court is.
Oh, absolutely.
That alone should give Trump the right to invoke martial law and take back what is rightfully his. I mean, they're trying to pretend that Biden got more votes than Obama. I mean, it's just... I mean, the man can barely get 12 people to a rally when he comes out of his basement.
Yeah.
Trump has got thousands of people on the street every day. Anyone with a pair of eyes can see just how corrupt that election was.
Right.
And then when I look back now, I think the only reason Brexit got through is because they thought we were stupid enough to believe their lies, so they never bothered to rig the election.
Wow.
I think they genuinely thought that we were going to vote to remain, which I think was the catalyst for the sort of change within the West, Trump and everything else. I think Brexit was the starting point, and that's why Agenda 21 then became Agenda 30.
Yeah.
But the Barcelona Declaration, that's the video that actually sort of sent me viral. That had 3.5 million views before YouTube called it. And it kind of went a bit crazy for a couple of years. I was sort of all over the place. And then they purged me. I had 4 visits from the police.
What?
And I used to get the police knocking at my door, telling me if I didn't stop, there'd be repercussions. But little did they know that my father was the chief magistrate for East Sussex.
No way.
Once they clocked my surname, they left me alone.
Wow.
But I used to get quite a lot of harassment. YouTube stole thousands of pounds in ad revenue from me. I had 200,000 followers on YouTube purged. I lost my Facebook. I lost my Twitter. You can't even put the name Brit Girl on Twitter or Facebook now. It's just banned.
No way.
So that's how scared one little girl from East Sussex made them.
So you just stopped. Am I right? Because you put out some content, but it's like you've shut me down. What else am I supposed to do?
It became exhausting. It became a mental battle of me setting up new pages. I'd get the followers, and then they'd be like, nope, see you later. And it became exhausting. It became all-consuming. It was affecting my marriage and my home life.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what they want.
They want to ruin you.
To give up, and unfortunately I did.
Okay.
But with the emergence of COVID has seen the re-emergence of Brit Girl. I have a daughter. I can't see my daughter's future. If it was just me and my husband, we'd go and live in the woods somewhere and live off berries and not worry. But I have a child.
Okay.
I have to lead by example. I've taken her out the school system. She's no longer anything to do with state education. She's home educated now.
That's awesome.
Wow.
And we have a whale of a time.
So you're home educating now?
Yeah, and running a business and being a housewife and Jackie of all trades, mistress of none.
I love it. And that's not a very big thing in Britain. Homeschooling is big here, but it's not there.
It's getting bigger, a lot bigger.
That's great news.
I mean, we have a network where I live, and there's currently 38 children in it, just within my local community.
Wow.
And all of the mums, and we're all awake, we're all free thinkers, we all know what's on. And it's great to be able to sit in a group of people and talk about satanic paedophile rings and not look at like you just shit on someone's coffee. It's been actually for me a very freeing thing, has COVID.
Yeah.
Because it's actually made me realise that I'm not crazy, that the last 8 years I've spent trying to wake people up hasn't been for naught, and they can actually see now what I was talking about, because this has all been part of the plan for a very long time.
Yeah.
So what got you into what we would call the red pill movement? What was your catalyst to start looking into these things and to go down these rabbit holes?
I suppose I've never really been indoctrinated, as it were. I was always quite a free thinker at school. I was always quite rebellious, as it were. I never really understood why I had to sit there learning about Pythagoras' theorem and algebra and things that had absolutely no real life application.
Okay.
I mean, school for me was just social. I just went for my friends. I never really applied myself. Had I ever applied myself, I probably could have got quite a lot further. But I always worked as well, I suppose. I was brought up with a very big work ethic, and having sort of been around adults from the age of 12, 13 and working, I sort of saw the world very differently than my friends, and I've always been very independent. I left home at 17 to travel the world.
Wow.
I speak 4 languages.
Wow.
I've lived all over the world. And I suppose because I've lived all across the EU, I saw the injustices, how different it is. Like when I lived in Spain, there's no benefits, there's no housing, there's no free anything. You work and you pay your way. Yet when anyone comes to Britain, from the day they arrive, they're entitled to and food and money. And I just
It
saw
was just
how
getting low
Britain
on
was
battery. I'll go
changing
try to get the
so
other one.
much.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So I suppose I was never brought up to believe any of the crap that I was taught at school, really. My mum and dad always taught me to be independent and free thinking. But what I suppose really changed it for me was when I had my daughter. I had to start looking at the world that I was bringing a child into and what was going on. And I suppose the Barcelona Declaration was what really opened my eyes. When the boats loaded with migrants started coming over, I needed to know why.
Why?
And the Barcelona Declaration answered it for me. It was signed in 1995, which is 15 years.
Oh, I have her in my hand.
Did you try to turn it on?
I did turn it on.
But yeah.
Is it working?
You still there?
Yeah, we're still here. We moved you to a different speaker. Go ahead.
I don't know if you want to turn. Can you turn your picture sideways again? Because right now you're still vertical.
Yeah. Sorry, just give me one. So it's because it went on to sleeping.
There we go.
There
So
we
I had to close down. There you go. Is that better?
Yes.
Yes. So,
Okay.
you started doing videos about 8 years ago, and you kind of took off.
When I started. Yeah, I stopped probably about 3 years ago after my fourth police visit. It like I said, my mental health was suffering. I kind of felt like I was being enemy of the state, really. When all I was doing was exposing declarations that anybody can read on the EU website or the UN website. I mean, they're right there for anyone who's bothered to go and read them.
What was their pretense for showing up at your house? What was their pretense for? What did they say? Why were they there?
For inciting hatred, and that if I didn't stop, I would be arrested under the Communications Act.
Oh my gosh!
Which stopped, yeah.
But what were you saying that they were?
Sorry, what was that?
What were you saying that they were so upset about?
The truth. Literally that. I mean, my channel back in a couple of years ago, I used to have many videos on there. YouTube took them all down, but I used to talk about the trans agenda, how they were university, what a waste of time that was, how it's a debt trap for most kids, how they're emasculating men, how they're trying to destroy the nuclear family. Just facts, basically. But anything that goes against the narrative, they don't like at all. So I was, shunted out and purged from the internet, and that's when I thought I'd leave it for a little while. But recently, I've been attending a lot of protests in London and Brighton and Birmingham and places like that. And it sort of geared me back up to do Brit Girl again.
Do people know who you are when you're out there still?
Yeah, it's so weird. It is really strange, I have to say, when you turn up somewhere and people know who you are. I had a guy in Tesco's, which is like our supermarket over here, and he was looking at me suspiciously, like, and I was looking back at him, like, and he goes, "Are you her?" And I said, "Am I who?" He said, Are you Brit Girl?" I said, "Well, that depends on whether you like her or not."
That's awesome.
And he shook my hand in the middle of Tesco's, and it was the weirdest thing I've ever had in my life. Having gone through my life quite unnoticed, to be recognized is a very strange kind of thing.
Sure.
Have you met up with any of the other outspoken like YouTubers that have been banned, or like Count Dankula or Tommy Robinson?
Tommy? Yeah, I know Tommy. Tommy knows me. I was that was weird, because actually the first time I met him, he said, "All right, Brit Girl." I was like, wow, Tommy Robinson knows who I am.
Oh, that's cool.
But bizarrely, he's from Luton, which is like 5 miles from where I grew up, the village where I grew up.
Okay.
So I spent most of my Saturdays in Luton, where he's from. So I know the problems he's talking about.
Wow.
With the Islamic, it is actually extreme Islamism within Luton. Because I'm from a place called Bradford up north, which is my hometown, which we now call Bradistan, because the population has gone from 11 whites to 1 Pakistani to 12 Pakistanis for every 1 white now. I suppose it's like Minnesota, where your lovely Ilhan Omar is from.
Yeah.
Like our Bradford,
Yes. Yeah.
Which is my hometown. So I've sort of seen the problem since I was born. So it's not really been a new thing for me. I was almost groomed as a child. It's only because my parents left there to move to Bedfordshire that I wasn't.
Wow.
So you're saying that it's the chances of being groomed there are greater than not.
Massive.
Wow.
Huge. If you're a young white girl and you go to school in Bradford or Rotherham or any of the northern towns, Blackburn, parts of Lancashire, then you are very, especially I was from a single mother at the time. She met my dad and they moved. So especially if you are from a single parent family, you are at a huge chance of being groomed, and the police just turn a blind eye to it, as we are well aware by now.
So did your parents move?
Most of them are in on it too.
Did they move because of any of that?
No, they moved because my dad was in the fire service.
Gotcha.
As we promoted, we moved sort of down the country with these promotions. So no, it wasn't. They weren't aware of any of the stuff that was going on up there, really. It's really sad, actually, because I haven't spoken to my parents since February, and they only live 5 minutes up the road.
You mean
But they are totally on board with COVID. My mum is coming out of retirement as a nurse to give the vaccination.
Oh, wow.
And I can't look at her. I just can't, because I know that she's smarter than this.
Okay.
And I believe that she's got fear. She had cancer 3 years ago.
Fear.
And I just say to her, just be grateful that you didn't get cancer this year, Mum, because you'd be back of the line with the 400,000 other people currently waiting for their cancer appointments while they prioritise the flu.
Yeah. That's so sad.
It's really sad.
So listening to you speak, it's so the predicament is so much worse than even I can quantify. In what you've been talking about,
greatest.
And the fact that they won't allow free speech to even address these issues, that we have to listen to Sky News Australia to get any proper conservative British news, right? Is there anybody that you can trust in Britain to bring proper news?
No, certainly not on the mainstream news channels. There's a few YouTubers, like we have Paul Joseph Watson, and I think that's about it, really. There's a few other people, like We The People. He's a YouTube channel. He's really good. And there's a channel called Crime Bodge, and he sort of sues the police a lot. For all the wrongful arrests.
Okay.
But other than that, I have to rely on my news from independent YouTube footage, or like you say, Sky News Australia or OAN, or basically your news is where I get my news from.
Yeah.
Well, that's amazing.
That is amazing.
We're pulling things out. And that is incredibly sad, because you had a massive channel, a massive outreach, and they essentially shut you down. But what would you say to, is there a rumbling? Do you think COVID is bringing out any people who are waking up, like the David Icke type followers? Do you think that it's waking some people up who might have been asleep before?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And even the marches help. I always thought marches are a bit of a waste of time.
Yeah.
So we did a march last Saturday in Brighton.
Okay.
And we actually persuaded quite a few people to throw their masks away as we were walking, and they joined along with us. And
that's awesome.
But you just need a few. I call it planting seeds, because we can't expect people to just grow like that. But what we do is we plant the seeds, we give out leaflets. We always have the children with us. They're a really great icebreaker. They can see we're not there threatening, we're not aggressive. We just want basic. As an adult, I wish to be able to assess the risks for myself and make my own decisions for my family. And I don't think that that's a whole heap to ask, given that we're supposed to live in a free Western society. But apparently that is too much to ask. And using words like lockdown and isolation and the tier system, it's like prison talk. They're literally treating us as though we're criminals. and we've done nothing wrong. And they know that it's all bogus. None of it's law.
Yeah.
So they give out these fines and they try and shut down businesses. But all of it's been overturned at the High Court, which is our Supreme Court, because none of it's law. It's guidelines, and it's basically them just trying to govern us when they should be listening to us. And it's quite tragic how many people are willing to submit themselves to basically be guinea pigs for an untested vaccine for a strain of a virus we haven't been able to vaccinate against in 80 years.
Yeah.
And they will willingly take this concoction of poison. I'm anti-vax anyway. I'm just going to lay that on the line. God gave us an immune system. That's all there is to it. My daughter isn't vaccinated, and lo and behold, she's never seen a doctor in 9 years.
Wow.
So we don't need formaldehyde and heavy metals and aborted fetal cells to be ill. We wonder why cancer rates. How much money do we give to cancer research? They can't come up with a vaccine for that. They can't come up with a vaccine for HIV or for anything else. But sure, they can come up with an effective vaccine in 4 months for a strain of flu that they haven't even isolated yet.
Right.
I mean, come on.
Right. Exactly. But they're really good at what they do.
Like, incredibly good.
With their lies.
Fear porn, constantly.
Fear
it's
porn.
Everywhere. In our TV programs, the characters are wearing masks. It's literally everywhere. You cannot escape COVID in Britain. Every shop you go to, every place you go, it's just COVID. I call it FOVID 1984 because it's just a greatest hoax that's been perpetrated on humanity, certainly in my lifetime and probably in the last 3 or 4 lifetimes. But I can see where it's going. At the minute, it was kind of at a crossroads and there's 2 paths, and I can see which way both of them go.
Okay.
And right now, we're on that precipice to decide whether we're going to go this way or that way.
Yeah.
So I'm quite excited, but also a little bit terrified at the same time.
Exactly.
I'm hoping we're going to take the right path.
I think we will. Honestly, I want to encourage you because I do. I have a gut feeling that enough people have woken up, and we just needed to wake up enough people. And I do think that Trump's going to pull this out, and I do think that the lockdowns are going to stop, and I do think it's going to reverberate across the entire world. And I do think that voices like yours will be allowed back to speak again because obviously you have. I mean, we could be here with you for like, I don't know, a 24-hour show because like you seriously have so much to say.
That long as well.
You have, and because because your channel has been so censored, you have a backlog of things to say.
Yeah.
And people need to hear it from you, from what you're experiencing, just that experience with your mom. Okay, coming out of retirement to jab people. Just your experience with saying, there's a small homeschool group here, and what that does is, 28 people in a small town, maybe we could start one over here, because my favorite new line of 2020 is courage is contagious. When they see you without a mask, then maybe I can take my mask off. If they see you breaking a lockdown rule, then maybe I'm going to do that. And then the next person said, well, they're doing that. I've seen it in certain stores. Other people take their mask. Well, then I'm not wearing a mask. And it's a contagious thing. And there's more of us than there are, police officers to arrest everybody and politicians to go around. Go ahead.
It's even more contagious than taking a mask off. It's smiling at people.
Exactly.
You are absolutely right.
Help smile back. I don't own a mask. I won't buy one. I've never had one. And we have the exemption lanyards. I don't know if you have them over there. So we were allowed to wear a basically like a Star of David.
Okay.
Wow.
That we are the bad ones. But you're allowed to wear a disability lanyard.
Okay.
And I must have handed out probably close to 300 of them since COVID started.
Wow.
To everyone. My dentist, I gave one to the other day, his nurse, receptionist, people in shops, taxi drivers, anyone I can get to listen, I will give them a lanyard so they can throw their masks away.
I love
and what I find is if I walk into a store with confidence and a smile on my face and I say hello to people, they don't look at me like I'm the psychopathic narcissist that the media has told them that non-mask wearers are. And just a basic question, if the virus is so deadly, why isn't the hospitals full of people who don't wear masks?
Right.
when our bed occupancy is down 25% on last year.
Wow.
And in 2018, the flu was so bad it killed 64,000 people. That was just in 1 year. So far, COVID has killed 57,000 here.
Okay.
The reaction is so overblown to the actual threat.
Okay.
But people are so trusting because
Yeah.
the BBC has been the trusted news source for years.
Mhm.
They believe that what the BBC tells them is true. When they're then faced with actual facts, actual statistics, the fact that 400,000 people have lost their cancer appointments, the fact that heart disease is now the number one killer, killing over 27 times more people than COVID, that people are dying from suicide. And that's up 800%. 800%.
Wow.
We have mental health crisis, poverty, millions of jobs losses. And all of that because a few fat and old people have got the flu.
Yeah.
It's like when they actually stop and think, they either actually think about it or they just give you that fluoride stare back over their mask, like, no, it doesn't go in.
Yeah.
But still, I try, I plant the seeds, I put a smile on my face, and I just refuse to be scared by it all or to be cowed. This is our time now, resistance ladies.
It is. No, it really is. And it's so exciting and it's so encouraging to hear you talking about handing out these lanyards that you guys have. And so we don't have that here in the U.S., but just to hear that you guys are doing that you are making that effort, that you are spreading it is, I think it's going to end quickly because I think what's going to happen, my gut is that the election here in the U.S. is going to get overturned or turned right back. And our speaker died again. We're really struggling here. And then Donald Trump is going to take a hard stance against lockdowns, against masks, and then everyone else is going to be forced to comply.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm sorry we're having... Go ahead.
Do you know what's going on at Gitmo? Have you seen everything that's going on at Gitmo?
No.
Have you not? Oh my gosh. You need to get on Skyscanner.
Skyscanner?
Look at the flights in and out of Gitmo, and also have a look on Google Earth. The actual size of it has quadrupled. He's added cells and an analog digital video trial courtroom.
Okay.
Well, you only have an analog digital live streaming courtroom if you intend to have trials, don't you?
Okay.
So there's a lot of things going on at Gitmo that people aren't aware of. There are people who are keeping an eye on Skyscanner, which tracks flights all over the world. And the flights going in and out of Gitmo have been vast over the last year especially, but particularly within the last 3 or 4 months. Well, so I think he's definitely planning on something. It's just whether he's going to get the chance to do it in time.
That's true. That's true. If he's going to be able to do it, there's a lot of things he's got to do. I'm really glad that people have woken up, and I'm sure that it's amazing to see how the elites are, I think that they're unsteady right now. I with this plan, and they're not exactly sure how it's going to play out either, because they have a plan, but it doesn't mean that the plan is actually going to work. And and I think that they are, somebody had said in one of our rallies, we are as strong as we've ever been, the resistance, and they are as weak as they've ever been, because the people on the right and the left are not happy with this stuff. Okay. And they're waking people up. I saw Robert Kennedy Jr. He came out with a really great video. He's been meeting with people all over the world. I love what he's doing with the people in Germany. But he came out and said this vaccine, we can't give this to people. It is not tested. It's not, it's basically, like you said, using people as a guinea pig. And Robert Kennedy Jr. is not a right-wing person.
Paired. Enjoy.
Okay. Sorry, that the volume. Oh, we got a new
This
speaker.
was supposed to be for Patriot Gallery for her birthday, for Christmas, and I went and literally haven't wrapped it yet. So we've got another speaker we're trying.
Now we go. I think it's going to be better. And it's awesome. I think it's working. So yeah, Robert Kennedy Jr., he's not right wing, and so it's bringing together a lot of because a lot of the anti-vax people are actually more left leaning on a lot of things. They're, earthy type people, and they're, I'm sure, I wonder if in your marches, if you've noticed a diverse group of mindsets.
Very, very diverse. I mean, we have 2-year-olds to 90-year-olds from
Okay.
every walk of life. Black, Asian, Sikh, Hindu, Muslim, everyone. This isn't, like I say, it's not a black versus white or a Christian versus Muslim or anything. This is freedom versus evil and tyranny. And people are awake in all cultures, and they're all desperately working within their communities to try and wake people up. I know that there's an awful lot, surprisingly, of Muslims who are standing up against this, especially the vaccine, because it contains pig.
Oh,
Which is
wow.
obviously haram. So that's a big, big thing. And we do have a lot of Muslims here. And if we are going to fight this war, we got to do it side by side. We can deal with the rest of it later. But anything that Bill Gates is involved in is not good. The dude can't even keep a virus off a computer. But he's sure now
Right.
the World Authority on Health. It's just lunacy. But you can see the cracks starting to appear, particularly in the left, like I say, with Justice Roberts, all that coming out about him and Ghislaine Maxwell and Epstein. And then you have all of the other Democrats, the hypocrites who are saying that you can't go out whilst going to the French Laundry.
Right.
Places like that.
Yeah.
And then they've got the left looking at them going, well, hang on a minute. Why am I sitting on my ass with no job, no money, no stimulus check? My business is closed. And Governor Cuomo's going out to eat in restaurants that he's told to close.
Right.
Like, people are starting to see it, but they're not seeing it fast enough. And I don't know what it's going to take to make people go, what the hell?
Yeah.
But something will happen.
Yeah.
And I think that Trump will be an integral part of exposing whatever's going to wake up the masses.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That's
I totally
my gut
agree.
anyway. My gut is very rarely wrong. I knew we were going to get Brexit. I knew that Trump was going to get in. I knew all of it I predicted. But my spirit is so excited right now.
Yeah.
Because I feel something is changing.
Yeah.
For the last 2 or 3 years, I've been quite deflated.
Mm-hmm.
People are always going to be, oh, if you love Trump, why isn't he arresting anyone? I'm trying to explain to them that it's not as simple as he can just arrest people. He had to get the district courts on side. He had to clean out all of the agencies. He had to get the Supreme Court, even though that's turned out to be a waste of time.
I know.
But it's absolutely ridiculous. But people don't realise how much he had to put in place, how much he's had to do to get to this place where he can actually start indicting people.
Yes.
He couldn't just take office and go, right, let's arrest Obama, let's get this guy, let's get that guy.
Yeah.
Because that's not how it works.
Yeah.
He had to build cases that were infallible, that cannot be questioned, that it will leave people with their jaws on the floor going, wow, I never knew this.
Right.
And if he'd done that within his first year of being in office, people would have just gone, he's nothing but a tyrant. He's nothing but he just wants to be a dictator.
Yeah.
And look what he's achieved. I mean, peace in the Middle East, de-nuking North Korea. And now he's taking on China. I mean, the man has done nothing but amazing things since the day he took office. Sure, he's a little bit crass and he's a little unpolished, but that's why I like him, because normal people are a bit crass and a bit unpolished.
Exactly.
We are. I could imagine having a beer with him in a pub, whereas I could imagine just wanting to throw tomatoes at Obama. It just seems like a really nice granddad that you want to give a hug. Like, when I see him, I just want to hug him. There's something about him that just makes, and not in that weird Biden hair sniffing way. You imagine he'd give you like a really big hug.
Yeah.
And that you just feel safe, and he makes me feel safe. And I don't know if I'm totally misguided and that I shouldn't be that, but that's what my spirit tells me, and my spirit's very rarely wrong.
Yeah.
So anyway,
I have to agree with everything.
Fired up right now.
Yeah, I have to agree. We have been fired up, and I can't explain it. I can't explain it to other people.
And we're hearing it from, like, okay, so we watch Newsmax as our, no poo-poo on Fox News. We've gone to mostly Newsmax. And Greg Kelly on there, he has this little sparkle in his eye, and he often says, I can't explain it, but I got a good feeling.
Nice.
And everyone that I love and trust and think highly of is saying that. And most of us on that side are normally pretty conservative, like, guys, I'm not really sure about this one.
Right.
If we feel that we're not really sure, we're telling people. Not to bring hope down, but just like, you need to understand this may not go.
Really?
Right.
But everyone of us that are kind of on the same, and I think the people in the chat would probably say the same thing. Like, we're all feeling this excitement, which tells me it has to be like the spiritual battle. Otherwise, we wouldn't be feeling this electricity.
Well, where do you think they get their power from? They summon up, like you said, the satanic pedophile. Like, they summon up the devil. If we summon up good, if we summon up God, the good is more powerful.
You know what I think it really is? Because, and I'm gonna try not to get too metaphysical and weird on people, because I'm not really this way, but I think we know that there are spiritual battles that go on in the spirit realm, and it's probable what we're feeling is that we're winning in the spirit. Like the angels and the rulers and principalities, like in that battle, we're winning. Yeah. And we just like, because we are, as Christians, we're receptors. Yeah. We're receptors to that signal of, oh, we're winning.
Yeah.
We're winning, guys, we're winning. And that's, so when we try to explain that to people that aren't Christians, we sound like kooks, but if you're a Christian, you get it.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm feeling. It may not, it doesn't matter what it looks like on the outside.
Right.
I'm feeling that, like, my spiritual eyes are seeing a victory.
Yeah. I mean, I think that maybe there's a lot of reasons behind it. Maybe they have it because of COVID. They haven't been able to drink their baby blood or something, or get together and do their high priestess type things.
Yeah.
But there's a lot too. Hollywood sends out signals, right?
Yeah.
But we have there's no movies out, right? And
any movies that are out, no one's watching.
Like, and great,
Tom Cruise, look at him.
Yes.
Look at that. That's not a happy chappy.
Yeah, guys, be unaware. Tom Cruise he's able to film a movie. And he yelled at some people for not social distancing enough or something.
5 people quit.
Well, that was the second time, after a second rant.
Okay.
Yeah,
apparently he's a bit of a douchebag. Apparently he is. He comes across that way.
Yeah.
But I mean, how anyone could listen to a guy who believes in Scientology?
Yeah. It's embarrassing.
It is embarrassing.
It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. So we're winning.
And he really does look like a middle-aged lesbian. If you look at him now, he looks like a middle-aged lesbian. Like,
it does.
Oh my gosh. It's embarrassing.
That's true. He kind of does. Now I'm not going to get that out of my head thanks to you.
It's embarrassing.
Every time you see him, you'll just see middle-aged lesbian now.
Exactly.
Called Leslie. Imagine he's called Leslie. I'm sending Leslie in the chat. But he just looks like a Leslie to me now.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm totally.
So there's an article I was going to share from Breitbart, and if you want some semi-European news, Breitbart Europe is what I go to. But there was an article out that, and I don't have it up, so I can't get it exactly right. But there was a magistrate who ruled for a woman for free speech that she was allowed to call a transgender a man, and you have a right to offend. And I was like, that should not have gone to court, but because it did go to court and it ruled, then that's a win. You should definitely always be able to, you can call anybody anything. I mean, that's the beauty of free speech. Okay. I can't, if somebody comes up and swears in my face, I can't call the cops on them. Okay. There's no rule. Now, if they start to get violent or something, but if you literally just call somebody a fake name or somebody else, whether it's, Tom, you start calling Wanda. It's like, if you can call people by their names, you can say, and it's so funny because we have to self-censor. And I think this is something that you had to, that they came knocking on your door because you were saying men cannot be women. That's not a controversy. That should not be a controversy, but only in 2019, 2020. And I think people are rolling it back. You've got some good rulings there in the UK about the transgenderism for kids, and people.
And the fines. They've just ruled that fines aren't legal. They've stopped fining restaurants £10,000.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, that was about 2 weeks ago that happened. But yeah, no, under Article 19 of the Human Rights Act, it states that every human has a right to voice his or her opinion, be it online, in speech, wherever, in print, without fear of persecution. And you don't have a right to not be offended because offence is taken. It's not given. You choose whether to be offended.
Wow.
It's taken. People call me any kind of name you like. It's water off a duck's back because I'm happy with who I am.
Yeah.
Your opinion as a stranger means nothing to me.
Mm-hmm.
And you can choose whether to listen to someone. You can choose whether to watch a channel. You can it's your choice.
Right.
You have a choice. You're not being held in a room and abuse being shouted at you.
Right.
You have the choice to walk away.
Right.
You have the choice to let that person affect your life.
Right.
And if that's what you choose to do, then more fool you. What a sad and lonely life you must lead to defend other people's opinions.
Yeah.
Your opinion of me is none of my business, and my opinion of you is none of your business.
Yeah.
That's just how it is. And we have become so soft and so, what's the word? Cowed, basically.
Yeah.
That people are terrified to voice their opinions, which is why Brexit was such a landmark, because everyone was so scared of what people thought, and then it was the quiet voters. It's always the quiet ones, the ones that don't say anything.
Yeah.
And they just go and they put their vote in. And that's when Brexit won. And I genuinely think they were arrogant enough to believe that we were going to vote to remain, which is why they didn't use the Dominion voting system like they do in Germany and France, which is how I believe Marie Le Pen lost to Macron, and how Merkel got re-elected, because they both used the voting system.
Okay.
And now, as you look back, I can see, because France has been in a revolution for 2 years. They've been protesting every week for 2 years.
Right.
But the media barely even covers it. I mean, there are riots and fires, and Sweden, I mean, people say what a beacon of hope Sweden is. Sweden is, I call it Sweden, because it's finished. It's so far gone. The feminist government, and the migrant crisis they've got.
Yeah.
I mean, Sweden's finished, and people hold it up as some bastion of freedom and stuff, and it's an absolute mess. And then France, and it was beautiful. I lived in France. I lived in Provence, and I worked in the chalets and the ski resorts over there. And it was a beautiful. I wouldn't go there now. I wouldn't step foot in France. I lived in Greece. I ran a hotel on the island of Kos. And again, I wouldn't go to Greece because of the poverty. It's got over 50% unemployment. Wow. And this is all because of the EU. But the EU got so cocky that they genuinely thought that they had everybody fooled. And when we voted for Brexit, I think that was the turning point. And people were like, hang on a minute, maybe I'm not alone in thinking that what's going on is wrong. And people started to speak out more. And that's when they started pushing back more with the censorship and the fact-checking. I know now if something's true, but it's got a fact-check on it. If it's got a fact-check on it, no, it's 100%
right.
true.
Exactly.
So they've kind of shot themselves in the foot, and they're so desperately trying to claw it all back, but they can't. There's nothing they can do now.
Yeah.
They've opened the can of worms, and the worms are everywhere. We are everywhere. Most of us aren't vocal like me. I mean, God gave me a job, and I use it. But I understand a lot of people, their gifts lay elsewhere. But together, it's like these great analogies. One bee by itself can't do anything, but a million bees together, it's a swarm.
Yeah.
And we are creating our swarm, albeit slowly, but the swarm's coming. I mean, the last protest in London, there's probably 50 or 60,000 people there.
Wow.
But London was shut. They were in tier 3, all the shops were shut, and Parliament was out. So it was basically just us versus the police playing chase around London all day. We had them running and running. We were in Marble Arch, we were in Trafalgar Square, we were on Oxford Street. And the police, most of them are barely out of nappies. They're all wet behind the ears. They don't know the law. And I don't know if you guys are aware of a TV program called Benny Hill.
We've heard of it, yeah.
It's like there's a theme tune that goes, and every time the police were running past me, I had my speaker and I played it. It was just, we had them on the run all day. It was just
sounds like such a delightful time.
It was a really good fun day. But then saying that, we went with, there was a guy who was made quite famous because Santa got arrested at the protest. And now Santa's part of our My Home Network group. We went up with Santa, and he made all the headlines on the news. Police arrest Santa for COVID. And he made all of the front pages of the papers. And so now he goes to every march, and we go up and he dresses as Santa, and his kids go dressed as elves. And we've got signs that say, all we want for Christmas is our freedom back.
I love it.
And it's just fantastic. And they go everywhere. And Matt, he's such a warrior. And he's just so, his enthusiasm is so infectious that he manages to get people to come along to these marches, even when they don't want to. And then they end up then turning their friends. And it's little seeds. Plant your little seeds and watch them. Some will wither and die. Like my mum, it makes me sad because my mum and dad are Christians. They're actually elders in their church. And they cannot see the connection between this and what I believe to be the mark of the beast. It's for me, the patent number is 666, for goodness sake. It might be 06060.
Right, no, it totally is, yeah.
And she cannot make the connection.
Wow.
And she just thinks I'm some tinfoil hat wearing loon. And I say to her, Mum, the Bible says even in the end times that families will be torn from families, and those with unshakable faith will even fall away. And yet I was the one who was sort of lukewarm with my faith, and my mum and dad were up here on fire. And now I'm the one who's kind of like, no, I know, I can feel it. My spirit tells me, God convicts me. Like I can feel when I'm wrong. You call it gut instinct, you can call it the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
But when I know I'm wrong, I know I'm wrong.
Yeah.
And I know I'm not wrong this time.
Yeah.
And it just breaks my heart because I worry for my parents, for their for their damnation. If my mum's going to come out of retirement and give the mark of the beast to people, what happens to her eternal soul? It's like she will not hear it. It's like there are none so blind as them that cannot see. And she just cannot see what's happening right now. But God's working, he's moving, and things are happening over here, and it's really exciting. But it could all turn on a knife edge, like anything can in this climate we are in now. But right now I'm super excited.
You should be. I had a question in the chat here for you, and I'm going to see if I can find it. Somebody had asked me to ask you about Patriotic Alternative.
Yeah, the Patriotic Alternative, it's an alternative party which they're trying to create. There's a couple actually. There's that one, and there's Reclaim, which is Lawrence Fox, the actor.
Yeah.
He started a party because he was a lefty. He voted Remain. He now says if he had his time again, he would vote Brexit because of the tyranny that he now sees. So he started a party, but the Patriotic Alternative are also a party that's trying to start. My issue with all these parties starting is it takes the vote. It just keeps splitting the vote. And I kind of, to me, in Britain, voting doesn't do anything. We voted for Brexit 4 years ago.
Right.
We are still in the EU.
Right.
I don't know what we can do in Britain to see change, but I just know that it all stems from America, and it will be you guys that lead the way for us.
Yeah.
And I really, it all starts with the swamp being drained, because most of our politicians are so deep in the swamp, they're practically mud.
Well, I think that it's so, the network of swamp creatures is not...
It's global.
It's global. And so if it falls in the U.S., it has to fall everywhere else. And I think that's why we're feeling the excitement that we're feeling, because we're like, this is bigger than any of us can possibly imagine. Like, I truly believe, and we've been on the cusp of so many things since Jesus came, right? So many worlds being overturned and governments rising and falling, and this could be the be all end all in it. But I truly believe that right now we are on at least another one of those, if not the biggest, but at least on par with all the rest. And so we are looking at, we either rise or we fall to like eternal destruction at this point.
It's like in the movie, right? Where you're running and you realize you have to jump the cliff, right? The bad guys are coming behind you and they won't be able to jump the cliff. And so you realize we are running full speed. We are going to jump over this cliff and by golly, I have a lot of confidence that we're going to land on the other side. But if not, we're just going down.
Exactly.
Okay, but we only have one option, and it's to jump over this cliff. And the good news is like in every movie, the bad guys can't. mechanical, whatever car chasing us goes into the cliff. So, and so I think that that is the moment in the movie where we're at right now, where we're jumping the cliff. And we're
looking over the edge right now, deciding whether we're going to take a running jump or just fall over the edge.
Right.
Yeah. That's just kind of are we going to go back and take that running jump and make it over, or are we just going to go, no, it's all done? And just,
exactly. Yeah.
So that's kind of, I understand the analogy.
So because that's just the thing, what you just said. We have to garner up enough courage and enough strength, and we will be able to jump this cliff. We can.
But we have to get a running start.
But we have to get a running start. And so the like we saw this prophecy, the fence, you can't ride the fence anymore. So many people ride the fence. And so I call this crazy Christian time. This is where we throw everything at it. This is where we get everything out, all of our tools, and we just like go, full Braveheart, put the paint on our faces, and we're just going at it. Yeah, exactly. We are just gonna do this thing.
Right.
And because there is no alternative. There's no alternative, because the alternative in America here is they're communists. Like the 2 Senate races, they picked 2 communists.
The alternate.
The Democrats picked 2 communists.
Warnock and the other guy.
They aren't hiding anymore. This is this is socialism. This is communism. This is full-on Stasi. If Biden were to get in, it would be we wouldn't be talking to each other. They'd shut our internet down. Like they wouldn't even allow us to even speak.
Well, in California, they're already shutting off people's water and electricity for gathering when they shouldn't.
Right, exactly.
So if we say what we shouldn't say, and no more water for you.
And that's with Donald Trump as president. The censorship that's happened with Donald Trump as president, if Biden were to be president, if he were, it's a pipe dream for them.
They could get rid of your cell phone service.
Oh.
I mean, they can shut down your bank account. There's nothing that they can't do at this point.
What they want to try and do.
Yeah.
So that's why I think that
trying to go cashless there.
Yeah. And that's why COVID with the cashless society, so they can track all of our purchases, right? And that's why they want most of our purchases to be online, so they can track all that, so we can be Klaus Schwab, you've seen it. The dude, why isn't anybody calling him out for being totally insane? He literally is, I just want us to become mechanical creatures, and we're going to become, these digital, biological, like he is literally a character in the movie. He wants to put his brain in a mechanical box. I just don't understand. Like, nobody's calling this man out. Like, he's got the accent and everything. We put on these things. Whenever we do the Klaus Schwab, I put this helmet on because I'm like, yes, and you will listen. He even speaks like the Stasi. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, he's like, if they couldn't create a better bad guy if they wanted to tell us you'll own nothing. It's the year 2030 and you'll own nothing. Like,
and you'll be happier than ever.
You'll be happy with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and you'll be happier. So I'm glad that they've done this, because it's made it real easy for me to just go full on out, and to fight it, because I've seen into the future, because they've given us the plans for their little future. The Green New Deal was patty cake compared to what the World Economic Forum and the socialists have in mind for the entire world, telling...
And the UN.
I mean, these people, it's not a conspiracy theory if it's a fact. It's a fact now, guys.
Yeah, the people have got a veil over their eyes, and for me now, ignorance is a choice. You have got the entire world's information right at your fingertips. It's not like when we were growing up, you had to walk to the library and look through reference books and try and find information that way. Now there is no excuse. You have the whole world right in your hand. And for me, ignorance is a choice. When I say to someone, go and read Agenda 21, read the Calgary Plan, read the Barcelona Declaration, the Marrakesh Declaration, go and read something, anything, Like, I don't even care where you start because all roads lead to Rome. Every, like, if whichever subject you pick, okay, start with this paedophile satanic ring, start with Hollywood, start with anything.
Yes.
Just start somewhere and stop relying on that hypno box in the corner of the room for your information, because that's not information, that's indoctrination.
Yeah.
Unless they're teaching you how to be healthy, how to look after yourself, how to be self-sufficient, self-sustaining, then you're not getting educated. You're being indoctrinated. And it's that simple, which is why I took my daughter out of school, partly because of COVID, partly because of this, but mostly because they teach you now that everyone's an individual and we're all so unique and fantastic and everyone could be anything they want to be, yet we still have the same education system we've had since like the 1930s. They're still teaching of mice and men, the same books, the exact same curriculum they've been teaching for 80 years. They're not teaching you how to grow your own vegetables or how to write a CV or how to stay out of debt or to run a home or do a budget. Those are things that actually have real life application.
Right.
Now what they do is they make you make crystals and use a Bunsen burner and fanny about learning Pythagoras theorem. I have never in my life needed Pythagoras theorem, but there is a space in my head that's been taken up. But I cannot grow vegetables. I have tried and tried. For the love of me, God has given me many talents. Green fingers is not one of them. How I wish I could be self-sustaining like that. I would love nothing more than to live off grid. I mean, for the most part, I mean, we're very I'm my own business. My husband works. We have a good life. My daughter has a fantastic life. I mean, we go apple picking and sheep shearing. We go to the woods. We learn how to make fires, how to grow things. We go learn Spanish and martial arts, and we do boxing and roller skating, and we do so much. And then I think of the kids now, because they're all sat in classrooms with the windows open in the middle of winter because of COVID.
Wow.
Little 7 and 8 year olds sat in classrooms with masks on in their bubble, not allowed to play out at lunchtime.
Not allowed to
play. What a miserable existence.
Miserable existence.
How sad is that?
It's child abuse.
To see it. It is. And you look at these kids and they've got these masks on and they're terrified.
Oh, it's so wrong.
Man.
Yeah.
It's sad. And my daughter, she just laughs. She laughs at it now because I've taught her that she's got nothing to fear. There is nothing for her to fear. She's a child. There's no for her. I let her go roam free. She has a little tracker band thing on. And she goes and she plays and she goes in the woods and she explores and has a childhood like kids are supposed to.
Wow.
I will not bring her up believing there's a paedophile around every corner or somebody who wants to kidnap her every time she leaves the house or that a boogeyman virus is going to get her, because it's our job as parents to protect their innocence and to give them a childhood. And that's why I took her out of school, because they also brought in a sex education bill which started in April, and they teach from the age of 7 now about masturbation.
Yeah, it's awful.
Face it, it's just the most perverted and degenerate curriculum that I've ever seen. And you can't, as a parent, legally take your child out of that class.
Wow.
Well, who are you to tell me what I can and cannot tell my child? Teach her how to, the 3 R's, reading, writing, and arithmetic.
Yeah.
That's all you should be as a teacher, teaching them. Teach them how to think for themselves, how to research. That should be your job. It's not. Instead, you're teaching them about Greta Thunberg and violence. And I just think that I looked at and I thought, why the hell am I sending my daughter to this school? Well, I know that in 20 minutes of one day, she'd learn far more with me than she would in 7 hours at school.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I just sod it. I wrote the letter. I took all legal responsibility. She does not exist within the school system now.
Awesome.
And we've bonded so much. I never had fun with my mum. And she's a mummy's girl, and we just have the best fun. She has the same jumpers, like everything I buy, she has one.
Oh my goodness.
We were standing on matching hoodies and stuff. And,
I love it.
And she loves it. And she's made proper friendships with kids who come from like proper families who are teaching them morals and ethics and why this is wrong and we don't teach them what to think. We tell them, well, this is what we think. You've got access to the internet. Why don't you go and have a look and see what you think? Because there are obviously older children in the group. And then they'll come back and we'll discuss it with them like humans, not robots. And sit there programming them with what we want them to think. And she just has a magical time. I mean, she's been at 2 parties this week. That's like today, this afternoon, she had a Christmas party. There were 60 people there.
I love it. I love this so much.
Friday night, we had a 16th birthday party for one of the girls in the home ed, and there was 40 people at that party, and we danced, we did the cha-cha slide and the Macarena, and we just had a really good, fun night. And I think you get one life. Existing isn't living.
Yeah.
Living within the isolation, that's not life. If this is going to be my last Christmas on Earth, I'm going out with a bang.
Yeah.
That's simple. And how anyone could sit there and live in fear and isolation and not see their family, my mind actually boggles at how they've managed to so beautifully perverse the world. It's upside down. Everything I was taught was good is now bad, and vice versa. And it's literally, like people say, it's clown world. It's upside down world.
Are you?
It's backwards.
I don't want to stop you, but are you on Parler yet?
No, see, since I got purged from the internet, I've tried to sort of stay away from social media because it did become all-consuming.
Yeah.
And it really did. Like, I'd sit there with my husband next to me on the sofa, and we'd just both spend all night like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, ignoring each other. And I was like, I didn't marry someone to spend my time ignoring them.
Well,
and so now I have as little social media as possible.
I wonder though, because I know I'm hearing you speak, and I know you probably wouldn't run for office, but you really could and should.
I have run.
You have really?
I have. I stood for UKIP in my local election.
Okay.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But people need to. So I know that it's all consuming, but I'm wondering if there's a way for you, because Rumble is new, and BitChute is huge, and Parler. That's where Katie's been, and I'm just gonna drop this here. I know it's all consuming. I know, but for British people and for the world to hear your voice, you are on fire. You have peace and a message that the world needs to hear. I'm listening to you. My jaw is dropped because you are unmoved, okay? And this is the kind of courage that the world needs, which is why the forces that be kicked you off of YouTube and kicked you off and had the police knock on your door. Because I know Michelle and we have our own little niche, but when you speak, you're so confident in what you're saying, and people need confidence. They need somebody to say what you're saying. Don't wear the mask. Don't be afraid. Get outside. Touch things. Touch the dirt. Feel the breeze. They need your voice. So just pray about it. The Rumble is not censoring people. Parler is where Tommy and Katie get a lot of their stuff out. I'm sure people would find
Parler, Tommy and Katie are some of the biggest voices on Parler right now. So if you were to
tell Tommy that you're on Parler, he would send people your way. And it could just be, this is what I do on Facebook, okay? I don't respond to the comments. If I have something to say on Facebook, I do it because you obviously have, like, your brain is going 24/7 and you've got all these things going. And you take a moment, you take 5 minutes, you make your video, you upload it. Maybe you never look at the comments ever again, but the people are going to listen and the people are going to spread it. You don't have to. You're living a very happy life, and your child is happy, and your marriage is doing good. But I'm listening to you, and I'm thinking to myself, how do we get her? How do we get her message to the rest of the world? Because
we're not the people to do it because they don't let our message go.
Our message doesn't get to go. It doesn't get to go. But you have name recognition of Brit Girl, and people will find you. But you also have a different message than we do because I'm not in Britain, and you have a different experience. You have had different life experiences, and you can speak more to the EU type of things and to the British type of things. But I just want to encourage you because the power and the confidence that you have is a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
It is something that we all need to hear. And it's so encouraging. It's so encouraging. You have been such an encouragement. I know you've been an encouragement to the people in the chat. They keep wanting to know what you think about David Icke. And it's been wonderful.
David Icke loses me at reptilians.
Me too.
I think
me too.
That's where he loses me. Up to the reptilians.
I know.
Yes. But I think that's why they. But then I think maybe he's done that to keep his voice heard, because he's just that little bit too far crazy.
Yeah.
That they maybe not see him as a threat.
Sure.
They're like, exposing everything, but look, he thinks we're all lizards.
Yeah.
So we'll let him spread his message. Yeah. But he loses me at the reptilian part. But up to that point, I mean, I've met David, and I know his brother. His son. And as a guy, he's great. It's called Guidance Music. And David Icke just shared a couple of his videos, and he makes music. It's rap music, but it exposes what's going on and coronavirus and stuff. And we've got Piers Corbyn.
Yeah.
Jeremy Corbyn's brother, who he comes to all the marches and rallies and stuff. He was actually arrested with Santa 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I do like David Icke, but yes, he does lose me at reptilians.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. But yeah, but that's why maybe he added that bit on to keep his voice heard, because he knew that he would be censored. But everything up to the reptilian parts, I obviously agree with him. I mean, I cannot wait till the day. It's getting to the point now where I can't wait for it all to be exposed, just so I can go and stand on my mum and dad's garden and just look at them at the house and just stand there like that and go, told you so.
I get it. I get it.
Point now. Because I know that they now see that everything that I've said is coming to pass. Because I said to them back in February when I last spoke to them, and I said to them, what are you scared of? I said, if you believe God's in charge and he has a plan for you, if he wants you dead from COVID, you will die from COVID, whether you lock yourself in the house for 3 months or you get out, you spread. And they, again, couldn't fathom it. I was like, if God's in charge, then let him be in charge. Right now, you're letting Boris dictate your life.
That's so good.
They couldn't see that. And they would call me the one that's not faithful. I believe that God does have a plan for my life. I believe he's given me these talents, and he has given me a job, and he does want me to use it, because I do feel the fire burning again that I had when I first started Brit Girl. And my conviction and my conscience won't let me stay quiet whilst I know what's happening. So I can feel the stirrings again. But it's like, there is that part of me that says, well, if I can't even wake my own damn parents up to it, waking up anybody else. And they believe me on everything up to COVID. Like all of my videos about the trans agenda and the emasculation and how feminism's toxic. My mum agreed with me on all of them. She just used to say to me, you're just left of Attila the Hun, darling. That's what she used to say to me. But she said, I agree with your message. She just didn't agree with how I said it. She said that I was too harsh. And I was like, well, that's how I speak. It's not harshness, it's passion. When I used to do my videos, I never scripted them. I just put the camera on. I knew what I wanted to talk about, and I'd just start talking. And some videos would be 6 minutes long, some would be 16 minutes long. But as the video would progress, I'd sort of work myself up into a fervour, and I'd sort of become passionate. And I was like, it's not anger, Mum, it's passion. It's like everything that I want to say comes spilling out, and I can't get it out fast. Like you say, my brain it works 100 miles an hour. It's like constant. There's always something going on up there. And with all of this COVID stuff, it's kicked into overdrive, because there's just so much that I want to tell people, and I want them to hear, but it's like it falls on deaf ears. So I try and do it small instead, and local, like with my neighbours and the community, and try and do it that way. Because I think the only way we're going to get in Britain, you in America, you guys have got guns. We're sitting ducks over here. Like literally, I've got a baseball bat. I've got maybe like a couple of knives in the kitchen, but that's my arsenal. You guys, I mean, I would love to have an AR-15. I'm not even going to pretend otherwise. I would love to have a gun like this, because we just don't have that capability. So we are literally so subservient because we have no way of fighting back. We know that the EU wanted an army, not so that they could compete on the world stage, because we have NATO for that. That's what NATO is for. The EU army was to control the citizens of Europe, because the British soldiers won't shoot British citizens, but the Spanish ones would.
Wow.
And the British would shoot French citizens.
That's so good.
And when we pulled out of the EU, we pulled out of the EU army. So they now have no way to control us physically. So like before, they would have sent in the Germans to control us, and they'd have sent the Brits over to France.
Right.
Whereas you guys have the capability to defend yourselves. And I know that if this election isn't overturned, you patriots aren't going to sit down and go, okay, fair cop, Biden won, because he didn't.
Right.
And I know that you would fight for your freedom as you did in 1776.
Right.
I know that you do that again. But everything that we do hinders on you. Where we go, you follow. Where you go, we follow. So until we have the capabilities to physically fight back, we have limited means to be able to fight. All I have is my voice. And if I'm taken away, if my voice is taken away, then I have nothing left.
Yeah.
And then I have to weigh up, well, if I do get arrested and I do get convicted, and like they did to Tommy, I mean, he was arrested, convicted, and sent to prison within the space of 4 hours with no trial, with no jury. He was put in isolation.
Right.
There's a girl, Melanie Shaw. I don't know if you're aware of her. You should really look her up. But Melanie Shaw is a whistleblower on the care home in the 70s in Britain, where Ted Heath, the ex-Prime Minister, used to go to abuse children.
Wow.
She was a whistleblower. 3 years she's now been held without charge in solitary confinement and drugged. And nobody's fighting for her. She's there in this prison cell. She's been there for over 3 years now.
Wow.
And I can just see that something like that would happen to me. And I suppose there's always that little fear there.
Sure.
That they could just do that. They could just disappear you. And what can your family do? I mean, what can anybody do as one human being?
Right.
Until we become that collective, I'm quite impotent with what I can achieve. And that's why I admire people like Katie Hopkins and Tommy Robinson and stuff, because they have put their neck above the precipice and they have above the pulpit, and they have spoken out when nobody else was, and they kind of gave me the courage to speak up. But Tommy's kind of disappeared now from Britain, and he's not as present as he was. And they kind of, people in Britain, they expect just one person to speak on their behalf. And I got to a point where I was like, well, you've got a gob. You believe what I believe. If everybody started a YouTube channel, what could they do?
Sure.
Every single person did a video saying, I do not consent. This is all crap. They couldn't get rid of everybody's channels.
Right.
They can't stop relying on one or two people to save us all. It's got to be a collective thing. And I'm kind of, that's what I'm working towards now, is trying to get a collective together to try and do it rather than just do it by myself.
Right. So you're doing boots on the ground work, which is so important, I think. And I totally feel you on the, we here in the United States, at least thus far, especially since we don't live on the coastal cities, we don't have to put our, lives, our fortune, and maybe our sacred honor, but not our lives or our fortune on the line for this thing. But you're right. Over in the UK, and we would though. We would. But in the UK, you guys are literally already at that point. You're already there where they can unperson you. They literally can just unperson you. And I'm not just talking about on the internet. They can come to your house. You have lived it. You have experienced that.
So this is where, and this is what I would say to you and to the rest of everybody who's in this situation, who absolutely legitimate concerns. It's almost Chinese type censorship. That's when you get your ear to the ground to what God wants you to do, because
which is what I feel you have done.
Like with Tommy, one of the things I've always said with Tommy, you got to find a higher power.
Right.
A higher power to listen to, a higher power to lead and guide you, because you can be completely 100% right, but their side, they tap into a higher power. And in order to
lower power.
Lower power. They tap into a lower power. And in order to combat that, in order to know what to do and when to do it, the thing that led our founding fathers was, like when they went to go draft our Constitution, they argued back and forth until Benjamin Franklin, who was not a super Christian, he's like, you know what we need to do? We need to pray about it. And they brought in a minister, and they opened up the Bible and they read a passage of the Bible and they said, hey, God, you've given us this opportunity. Now what do you want us to do with it? And lead us and guide us. And so the one thing I have been praying for in Britain is you guys used to have fiery preachers who were filled with the fiery power of the Holy Spirit, filled with a fiery power. And a lot of them came here. They did. They came here. William Penn, he founded Pennsylvania, the Quakers and things like that. John Wesley, you have, I mean, even your William Wilberforce is one of your national heroes. And how did he overturn slavery 100 years before we did? He prayed. He got on his knees. He sought God. He asked God, how do we fix this, right? So if you're experiencing an injustice, the message I would say is it's a preaching what you're doing right now. As you're preaching the truth, say, guys, I don't know how we're going to fix this. Let's go ask God. How do we fix it? How do we fix it?
Right.
And I've been praying for a revival, like a legit revival where people are one-on-one talking to God, listening to their spirits like you, and say, okay, God, if you don't want me to say something, if you want me to have my ministry be this people here, which obviously you have like a ministry, it's amazing. But maybe just pray about it. And those are the moments where you can hear, okay, hey, you know what? God will lead you is what I'm trying to say. And he will protect you. And
because I don't think it ever has to go, honestly, the Tommy way. Yeah. Right now, it has had to go that way in the past 200, 500, 800 years ago. It has had to go that way in the past. But I've been looking at Tommy, and every single time he gets in these scuffles, yes, it's wrong, and yes, it's an attack from the devil, but he could combat it if he sought God to protect him, and he doesn't. And so we have to
pray. Take a minute and pray in
wise
those situations.
As serpents and harmless as doves.
So I would encourage even to Tommy, if I get a message to him, I say, Tommy, I know that I think he's an atheist. I'd be like, if you want to combat Islamism, it's a spiritual force.
It is.
It is. And if you want to get, and we can't just say to Muslims, stop being Muslim based on just like,
because it's wrong.
Because it's,
that's not going to work.
They're seeking something spiritual inside of them. You have to fill that void, right? With the real God. And so anyways, I would encourage you, because I'm looking at it and I think to myself, we've had people say, come to England. I'm like, I don't want to be thrown in jail because I don't know what I would say. I don't know. I'm like, I'm usually pretty good, but like Lauren Southern can't even come.
Can't get in anyway.
I know. Now we can't at all. We can't at all.
They wouldn't have let Lauren Southern in before COVID.
We're not as hated as she is. So I don't want to keep you for the whole day.
I love Lauren Southern.
Yeah, she's great. But before we sign off here, everyone was asking where they can find you. Is it okay that they subscribe to your current channel?
Yeah.
Okay, so she's Brit Girl on YouTube again. Yes?
Yeah.
Just Brit Girl.
Just Brit Girl.
And it's the same thumbnail that you guys are used to. So you can find her there. As you get the word out, and as whatever ministry you are doing, boots on the ground, as it grows, because it likely will, keep us updated so we can keep our viewers updated as far as if you do join another platform, where they can find you. Because people are hungry.
I'm going to join Parler.
You're going to...
I've decided I'm going to join Parler.
Okay, we convinced her.
Breaking news! We are breaking it here on our channel.
Brit Girl's going to join Parler. So we'll be sharing...
I'll go back on Parler.
We'll be sharing her page there.
This has been, we're going on an hour and a half. We're going to take this video and slice it off and just put it up.
Okay. The audio was not good because our speaker wasn't good, but once I got the good speaker, it was good, but still, it doesn't matter. It's still worth listening to.
Yeah.
I can guarantee you. And we'll have to have you on, again, as things continue to progress.
So good.
This has been, and it's been kind of a long time coming, because I've seen you in the chat, and you I think you've said it before, like, I'll come on if you want me to, and we just haven't been able to coordinate it.
Yesterday I was like, well, let's just have her on.
Yeah. So I'm glad it worked out, because this has been really, really fun.
Yeah, it's been lovely. I've enjoyed it.
I just listening to you.
Waiting to go to bed.
Sorry, husband.
Hey. They did a charity walk today, 30-mile charity walk.
Oh
from,
my gosh.
Yeah, from Brighton to where we live, and I had to go and pick him up because his feet he's got the most baby soft feet you've ever seen in your life, and he blisters, and he's drained, he's dead.
I feel so
I
bad.
couldn't do it. He's probably asleep on the sofa going, just hurry up and let me go.
All right, guys. We'll
So,
leave
yeah,
in the chat how much you guys have appreciated.
And in the comment section afterwards, a lot of our viewers are asking you to go and apply for a gun in the UK. Just go ahead and do it.
They say lovely British accent.
I already have the gun license, but you can't get a gun. You can't get anyone in the UK can get a gun license for a shotgun. Anyone, and any child under the age of 12 can get a gun without needing a license. Bizarrely, but you cannot find an arms dealer who will sell you a gun because they don't want the liability. So that's the problem we have in the UK. It's not the fact that you can't get a gun license; it's the fact you can't get the actual hardware.
Wow, that's fascinating. So why are they an arms dealer if they won't sell? Who are they selling to?
Well, I mean, I worked in private security for 10 years, so I have my gun training for that. I used to work all over the world. I've worked in the Middle East, Saudi, Bahrain. I've been over to America quite a lot. I've worked over where you guys are. I've worked in Miami and all across there, Detroit. And
wow.
I used to carry for that. So I mean, they obviously have licenses for people like police and
what haven't you done?
What haven't you done?
Like I say, I've had a phenomenally adventurous life. I packed a bag at 17 and went to see the world. My best friend died at 15. She was hit by a drunk driver and left for dead in the road. And that kind of changed my course in life. And I just thought, well, this is I only get the one life. I wasn't a Christian at the time. And I packed a bag. I watched a program about chalet hosts in France on the Thursday. I had an interview on the Friday. I spent Saturday at the passport office, and I got on a coach to France on the Sunday.
Wow.
And I didn't never stopped until I had my daughter.
Wow.
Like 17 years of just traveling and working and seeing the world and learning about cultures and seeing how different. And my mum was born in Saudi in the 60s. She was born in Africa, but she grew up in Saudi until she was 13.
Wow.
But that was before. So this was like back when girls used to wear mini skirts and have their hair out before the crap that they brought in, and just seeing the change in that country and how quick it was, because it's only been sort of 50 years in Saudi from going from free and progressive to what it is now.
Wow.
Which is basically a hellhole for anyone who's not a Muslim man. So it's seeing all of this change, and then Bradford where I grew up, and then Luton, and it sort of followed me my whole life. But I suppose, I had a very different outlook on life. It was like, I get one life. I'm here for a good time, not a long time. So I'm going to fit in as much as I can while I'm here and do as much as I can and talk to as many people as I can. And then I gave my life to Christ when I was 21. I was baptized on my 21st birthday.
Aww.
After my mum and dad became Christians, and they had a personality transplant overnight, like totally new people.
Wow.
And it freaked me out. So I actually tried to disprove it. So, and then I just sat down and went, all right, God, if you're real, show me. And boy, did he show me. And,
wow.
It's been quite an adventure. I feel like I probably should be about 85 with all the amount that I've packed in.
I feel like you should write a book.
But,
Can they censor your book?
Can they censor your book?
You need to write a book.
Well, I'd love to. I'm not very good at writing, to be honest. Speaking's my forte. If I can get a ghostwriter, that'd be cracking.
Yeah.
But I can't. I get bored. My mind gets distracted.
Yeah. It
would
sell, though.
But no,
it would sell.
Maybe one day. Yeah. I like Mark Dice's book. Do you guys follow him?
Yeah.
We do follow him, but we haven't read any of his books.
I haven't read any books.
But I would not be surprised if they're awesome, because he is a pretty cool guy.
Yeah, they are good. And Tommy's books are good, especially the best-selling Quran, bizarrely. Tommy has the #1 best-selling Quran.
Oh my gosh.
He put it in chronological. He sat down with imams and scholars, and he put the Quran in chronological order, because the problem obviously with Islam is it jumps here, there and everywhere. But once you put it in chronological order from when he was thrown out of Mecca to the time of his revelation, and then when he became a bloodthirsty paedophilic, necrophilic, warlording, just evilness. Yeah. Put it all in chronological order. So Tommy Robinson actually has the best-selling Quran in Britain.
That is hilarious. Oh my gosh.
Very funny.
That is
but
hilarious.
Yeah, a few of those, they inspire me, those sort of books.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe one day I'll write one, who knows. Anyway, I'll let you guys crack on.
No, it's been, I could, like, and then I'm like ready to start another whole episode on your testimony and everything like that. Like, wow, we could be here for like 4 weeks.
No, we will do it again. We will do it again as the time permits. And honestly, I think now that we know that it's not too difficult to do this, what we can do is, if you want to just kind of, as you have time on our Sunday shows, if you want to pop in and have something to say, it doesn't have to be a super long episode. It even could be a 10-minute conversation, and I think that would be really enjoyable.
I love it.
If you would be willing to do that.
Anyone's ever had a 10-minute conversation with me.
I know, we're the same way. We're the same way. But thank you so much, Brit Girl, for coming on our show and broadening our horizons.
Absolutely.
And apologize to your husband for us, for him not being able to go to bed on time with his sore feet.
Fine, he's used to it.
All right, guys, we're going to sign off here.
We're going to sign off with Brit Girl, and then we'll sign off the actual episode.
Okay,
but
bye.
Thank you. Bye. She's awesome. Okay. All right, that was so fun. We're going to work on getting, I don't know why all of the speakers are cracking. So there's something going on from the computer standpoint, which I will look into. But I'm glad that I went and robbed Patriot Gallery's little Christmas present here.
Yeah. So what I didn't get to show you guys is, as we're signing off here, because it was on the title of our thing, talking about the lockdowns and things like that, which I'm just still stoked with all the information that Brit Girl dropped for us, which is just mind-boggling information there.
Yeah, she's phenomenal.
But I wanted to show you the craziness that's happening in Canada. So these young men, I'm trying to get the whole background of this, but these young men were ice skating. They were playing hockey in Calgary, and the police went to taser this young man. And from what I understand, they sent like helicopters even like above to like watch them or film them or see what they were doing.
Let's go. Let's just go.
Hey, let's go.
What's his name?
We're just gonna go.
You're welcome to go, but you might want to help your friend.
Yeah,
What's his name?
We're just gonna go. He's gonna go.
It's not a gun. It's a taser, and he's under arrest, and I have the authority to use force to effect an arrest.
What is he under arrest?
We'll just leave it alone.
Okay,
Let's
so
go.
what's his name?
Oh, let's go. Osh.
So she's already decided she's going to tase him, like essentially. Like that's what we're looking at here.
What are you doing?
Yeah, like videotape this.
Hey,
Videotape.
what are you doing? What are you guys doing? What are you doing?
Why are you guys grabbing me? Like, why are you guys grabbing me?
What are you doing? Whoa.
He knows how not to fall on skates. They can't even pull him down on the skates because he's that good of a hockey player.
Hey, orcs.
Ocean, get on the fucking ground before you get tasered.
Why are you guys
Get on
the fucking ground right now.
Or ocean.
Guys, like, why
Get on the ground before I fucking taser you.
Ocean.
Right now.
are you tasering?
You are not.
Ocean, just get off the ice.
Ocean, just get off the ice.
Just get off the
It's
ice.
two women from what I understand. The one I thought was a dude, but it's a woman, I think.
What are you guys doing?
Dude,
Like,
Ocean.
Guys, they're trying to get compliance to get things back off, okay?
hey, this.
So what are the rules in the U.S. versus Canada for arresting someone? Like, can you start kicking them?
There's two female and one male.
No, I mean, she's kneed him like 4 times. Are you allowed to do that?
I haven't done anything wrong. He gave us a warning. We're all leaving.
He is not leaving.
I just
Let him
asked
take
you
off
what
his
you guys were
skates.
doing to that little kid.
Well, I know, but you gave us a warning and you said we're all okay.
this is going on the fucking news for sure.
So these young men,
but you don't have the video of them getting tased.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I don't. So this is
but they did tase
Byron
him?
Roy. No, I didn't see him.
Okay.
She threatens. Just left Texas. Hardly any masks. Full occupancy in restaurants. Bars were shoulder to shoulder. Nobody was kicked out for not wearing a mask. Nobody was fined. Welcome to Canada, where just days before Christmas we are going to lock you down. This should help the economy. I still can't get over the fact that Calgary police flew a chopper in circles above a skating rink of Kings to intimidate them and their parents into leaving. That is some Hong Kong level blankety blank. Attention Torontoers, this bizarre, unprofessional, extreme threat by John Tory's abusive police is entirely unconstitutional. Do not pay these tickets. Go to fightthefines.com, as Levant says, and we will hire a top lawyer to literally fight every single one of you for free. The Toronto police says the Toronto police is aware of the Santa-themed gathering taking place in the downtown area. This gathering was not authorized by the city. We'd urge people not to attend. Toronto is under provincial order to help prevent the spread of COVID-19. Gatherings of more than 10 people are prohibited. No permit has been issued for this gathering. Ezra says that he'll pay your tickets. Let's see. Just to be clear, this is essential, but small businesses and their employees throughout New York City are not. They are allowed to have their Saturday Night Live lesbian show. And let's see. Paul Joseph Watson says, Londoners will be arrested if they try to leave the country. But 5 flights from Brazil will be landing in Heathrow within the next 10 minutes. So you can come in, you just can't leave. Wow. The Calgary video went viral. These boys were outside in freezing cold, wanting to play, social distancing. They had masks on, right? Masks. And they're just out there playing, and the Grinches that be want to shut down a hockey game, which by definition with the stick is
6 feet. No,
which
it's totally
is total
6 feet.
social distancing.
Absolutely. You don't get close in hockey unless the gloves are coming off. Like.
This is not
it's control.
about
it's all about
COVID-19.
The control. It is not about COVID. We have issued an edict. You must follow it.
And before we sign off, I just want to break your heart.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I do.
Well, right. Well, can I tell you for the record that her colour is very poor. You know, she's quite blue around the lips, and her breathing is quite fast, and that's, to me, that is a cause for concern.
Well, like I say, we've not had any concerns with this.
Well, I know, but you never do have concerns for her. Do you know, with respect, you don't. You know, I understand you're doing your best, but, you know, I can see that my mother is not well just by looking at her through the window.
Well, all I can suggest is that you ring up on Monday morning.
Well, what do you mean I ring up on Monday morning? That's 2 whole days away.
Well, like I say, I'm not the manager. So
You're not the manager, but I mean, hang on a minute, just a minute before you go. I am asking you. I want this doctor. Hang on a minute. Don't take her away. Hey, don't take her away. Don't take her away. Don't take her away. You bastards. You absolute bastards.
So, I here's the deal, guys. I want to address 2 things here. We've been saying for years that I understand that there are times when you cannot take care of your elderly parents, and it reaches, like, there's nothing you can personally do. I get that. I do get that. All right? I'm not going to address those cases right now. Okay? Just like when we talk about abortion and rape and stuff like that. We're not going to address that part of it. But a good majority of people who put their parents in nursing homes actually could take care of them themselves. If you are one of those people, your loved one is in a nursing home and you cannot take care of them, you know that's an impossibility. I'm not talking to you. But we've done it. We gave up everything. We put our lives on hold. We lived on next to nothing. And we still continue to take care of my uncle when at various times in his life, he would have had to have been in a nursing home. Okay. And he does need assistance in various things in life. So we are doing it.
Our grandma.
We are doing it. We have taken care of other elderly, my grandma's friends. Okay. We know what a big sacrifice it is. We have reached a point where if you can at all, and I know in the UK and overseas, it's even more difficult.
Well, you can't take them out.
If you can at all, keep your parents from going into a nursing home from this moment forward.
And if
keep
you
your
can
elderly
take
loved
them
ones.
out,
If you can take them out, get them out. At this point, I know it's an impossibility. But here in the United States, I need to speak to the United States people for a second. I think here in the U.S., you actually still can, at least depending on the state, take your parents out of nursing homes and assisted livings right now.
Yeah.
If you still have that possibility to do that, you need to do it yesterday if you love them.
Yeah.
Okay? Because you are signing away your rights as their children when you put them into that home.
Mm-hmm.
And I get that there are some people that don't have a choice. I'm not talking to you. Don't feel guilty. I understand it's hard, and I'm praying for you, and we're going to get this thing fixed. Mm-hmm. But for right now, for anybody else that hasn't even an inch of an ability to do this, you need to do it. You need to be taking care of your parents, because as soon as they go into that nursing home, do not think for a second in the United States that we wouldn't get to that point.
Yeah.
And then the second thing that I want to address is I saw something a friend of ours had shared that on the one hand seems really, really great. And so I want to address the great part, and then I'm going to address how it's actually not awesome. What they did in one nursing home is have you ever seen when they're going to do drywalling or work and they have to tape off a whole door with plastic?
Oh, they put people's arms through the plastic.
They did all of this tape, and they used those clear plastic trash bags so that, and they made it so that you could give a hug, a literal physical hug through the plastic to these loved ones in nursing homes. And it was beautiful. Thank God it meant so much for these elderly people, because they need that hug. They need to see their family members. They need to touch them. They were holding, there was one old lady that was holding their hands, and she kind of bent down and she put her head on their hands. And I'm so glad that they're doing that. Don't stop doing those kinds of things. If you have the ability with your family member that's in a nursing home, approach them and ask them if they can create this kind of scenario for you and for the rest of the people in the nursing home. But we do not need to be at that point right now.
No.
This is not Ebola. This is not some sort of flesh-eating disease where if you get it, you die.
Stop paying the bill. Then let them out.
That's an excellent point. Stop paying the bill. Well, I don't know if that works in the UK, because I think that the nursing homes are a part of the NHS, and so it's paid for already.
I think so.
Which is how that's why I'm against the socialized medicine, because you sign your rights and your family's rights over. But if it does come to that, if you are paying a bill somewhere in the UK or here in the United States or whatever, stop paying the bill. They will tell you to come pick up.
All right, so we're going to sign off our show. I don't want to end on a bad note. I want to end on the Bethlehem Star. So
great.
The winter solstice provides some spiritual solace. Stargazers can look to the heavens tomorrow for clues to a miraculous biblical sign in an extremely rare cosmos event.
On December 21st, the night sky lights up with a close alignment of planets Jupiter and Saturn, their closest since the early 13th century.
What's unique about this particular one is how super close they get to each other in the sky, where they're not a degree apart, not 2 degrees apart, but just a tenth of a degree apart.
The viral buzz is that the conjunction may also be a rare glimpse of what the Star of Bethlehem may have looked like.
So in terms of phenomena that people have used to describe that, conjunctions are one idea. There are comets maybe.
For centuries, scientists and the faithful have looked for the origins of the star that the Bible says led Magi to the place where Jesus was born in Bethlehem. German scientist Johannes Kepler, who discovered the mathematical laws of planetary motion, believed the star to be the conjunction of Jupiter, Saturn, and Venus. But star researcher Rick Larson, who's also a law professor at Texas A&M, says he found 9 distinct clues about the star in the Gospel of Matthew, including the position of the star, the motion of the star, and what the Magi said about the star.
That star was part of a very long series of events that Matthew told us about at length, but haven't been understood until recently because we couldn't recreate the skies of ancient time.
Today, with computer programs using Kepler's calculations, astronomers can rewind the celestial clock and find the exact conjunction of planets and constellations that brought about the star. However, a discrepancy over when Jesus was born led star searchers to look in 6 or 7 BC. But Larson says early documents show Jesus was born years later.
Well, then we should look in the years 2 and 3 BC for the birth of Christ and for the Star of Bethlehem. Then, when you look in those years, the sky explodes, and all of a sudden, everything Matthew says fits.
Both scientists and the faithful agree the stars do tell us things, but where they disagree is on what they mean.
That's so good. So watch the Star of Bethlehem movie.
I think it's called the Bethlehem Star,
movie.
and it's hard to find if you mix that up. But it's a documentary, and it's so fascinating.
And the reason people are so mixed up about it is that Jesus was not born at 0. And we cover this in our Red Pill a lot. So with Jesus being born with the Star of Bethlehem at 2 or 3 BC, it lines up perfectly.
Not only that, tell them the punchline.
It lines up perfectly with AD 70 and the destruction of Jerusalem. And it lines up perfectly with Daniel chapter 9, which talks about Daniel's 70 weeks. So it says that the Messiah shall, it'll be 60, it says there'll be, Messiah will come, it'll be 62 weeks, and then 1 week. And when you break down those numbers, we watch our Red Pill episode, you'll find that Jesus actually was born around, and the Bethlehem Star movie will show you about 2 or 3 BC, and then he died around 27 AD, and these are these perfect numbers that line up and make everything in Daniel line up with the 49 weeks, down to the year. And it's so perfectly amazing how God works these things out. And it's so funny. It's like with the movies on the patterns of evidence. It says, well, because we believe that the Exodus had to happen during this period of time,
and there's no evidence
it. But then when you move the timeline in the pattern of evidence documentaries, this period of time has, Jericho falling and all these different cities, and you can see all this evidence happening at this time period. So that's very exciting to me, and I want you guys to
me the punchline is the punchline of the movie, because even Ivan's son here says Jesus was not born on December 25th. Read Luke chapter 1. We all know that. I think most Christians that have studied the Bible and studied Christianity understand that Jesus was likely born around September.
Well, and then the Magi would have come when he was a toddler.
I'm trying to get to the point here.
Okay.
We do know that the Magi showed up, and Mary and Joseph were living in a house when they arrived there, likely when Jesus was a toddler. And the punchline of the Star of Bethlehem, and I hate to give it, but I'm going to anyway, is that Star of Bethlehem actually landed over where Jesus would have been living with his parents at that time as a toddler, and that's when the Magi would have shown up on exactly December 25th. So that is why we personally celebrate Christmas on December 25th, and why we personally believe that God ordained it so that we would celebrate Christ's birth. You don't have to celebrate the birth of the Savior of all of the universe on the day that Savior was born. You do understand that, right? Mm-hmm. We can pick any day that we want to celebrate Christ's birth, and God can pick any day, and we believe that God chose December 25th.
So we don't really have time, but this would have been a really good interview to play with the Star of Bethlehem creator on CBN.
It is called the Star of Bethlehem, not the Bethlehem Star. So I'm corrected on that. The Star of Bethlehem. Actually now that's just what they have up there. I don't know that the documentary
How are
is called
52
that.
chicks? Are you talking about the ones from this summer that
They're
are in the freezer?
in that freezer right there.
So guys, please like this channel. Mass Faith 3, our Senate hearing video was taken down, so we may not be uploading on there. We don't want to lose our channel over there. It's still up on this channel. Go figure.
Here's how they are.
Yep, with our label.
Here's how our chickens are doing.
Guys, we have a PO box. It's 107 Milford, Ohio 45150. We have go to our resistancechicks.com page. We are
website
putting things up and making sure you guys can find us there. We are on Parler. We are on BitChute. We are on Rumble. So find us everywhere.
And I'm thinking about adding Twitch only because with my streaming software, that will be an easy one to add. So I will let you know if and when that happens.
Yeah. So we're working on our volume here, but our computers, you notice we haven't had any glitches with that. So we're very excited about that.
Barry says, Leah, the EU has closed the channel tunnel as of 10 p.m. tonight.
Wow,
That's a really, really big deal.
You're literally stuck in.
Now, I'm going to tell y'all something. I'm never going in that tunnel. Ever. That's going underwater to travel from one body of land to another body of land is never going to happen for me. So I'm actually not sorry for you guys. No, I'm just kidding. But it's really, really a big deal. Okay, so 412 says Twitch will kill your channel faster than other platforms. Okay, I don't know anything about it. Never been to it. If you're telling me that, then maybe it's not worth our effort. Okay, we're going to sign off. Are we going to do a song?
Not today. I think we've been
with Brit Girl. We gotta go. Thank you to Brit
tomorrow
Girl for
is
coming
a
on.
Trump rally in Georgia.
So Trump is going to go and rah again for Kelly Loeffler and Chicken Man. Purdue. So we will likely cover that in the evening. If anything comes about in the morning time with hearings or things like that, I will bring it to you. But until then, we will see you probably tomorrow night. Leah, great show.
Thanks to Brit Girl.
And we'll ask Patriot Gallery very nicely to just take that segment and put it up by itself so you guys can watch it and share it. So please go and subscribe to her new channel. I mean, she already has, she's not posting really anything and she's still up at like 16,000 subscribers. People have found her. So, all right, we love you guys. God loves you. God bless. Remember, it's not just a conspiracy theory if it's actually the truth. I was going to do names. I looked at them. I haven't had a chance to look deeply into them. But we have had, I think, 2 or 3 donations. And so I would like to be able to list names, first names, to thank you guys. But you know who you are. You donated to our PayPal account. And so thank you. God bless you. I think that money is probably going to be used, if I can't get the thing, into buying a Bose speaker. If the Bose speaker fails on me, we're just sunk. Okay, we have no recourse at that point. It's our appeal to heaven if the Bose speaker fails.
But you were able to play videos. It said, okay, you were able to fix it. No?
It's still, I could hear it on here. It's still not, and I'm not trying to be like a perfectionist or anything. But so anyway, thank you for your donations. I'm going to always try to, when needed, take the donations and recycle them back into the platform so to make it a better stream for you guys. Pray for me with the audio stuff. All right, we love you guys. God loves you. God bless. We'll be back for sure on Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and again next Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And until then, wait a minute. Friday is Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not sure when we're coming on Friday. We may just do a Christmas episode on Friday. We may not. We'll let you know as the week progresses actually on that one. But for sure on Sunday.
We'll have a lot of good news for you guys.
And we're going to have good news. It's going to be the best Christmas you ever had. Okay. Good night, guys. God bless.
Cold, all alone, no place for